and the community night between Sacred and Eunoia. We are here to scout some new teams. We are here to see how they are playing, how they're presenting themselves, how they're working with us in the background, and who knows, maybe we will see these teams coming back for the All Hallows League, for the Winter Circuit. You never know, as part of the scouting process. With me today, the one and only, we became kind of a community night chilling duo together. Actor, welcome in.
I am so chill right now. I'm gonna be perfectly massively honest with you, Dyer. I am the chillest now I have been in ages. I have slept for like hours and hours. It's messed up. I got a massage earlier. I feel lighter. My back isn't in pain anymore. It's like I am on cloud 9 right now, I'm gonna be honest. So hopefully we have matches which are going to be befitting of that. I believe we've seen Eunoia in the nights before. I believe that I did cover one of those in one of the community nights this team, and they did come out quite strong. Sacred, I'm not too familiar with. Have they been involved in any of the other community nights, or are they just a brand new team that we're seeing?
So Eunoia is making their return. Eunoia has played in the past, and they have, I gotta say, impressed us. They left a pretty good mark. Of course, you always need to see it in context. It's the community night, so newer teams playing against each other will always be a little bit of a speculation still how they would do on our tournament stage that we are hosting on the weekends. But definitely making a good impression, not only in terms of gameplay, but also how they were prepared and how they were coming up with strategies. Not every game was going according to plan, but they were definitely showing a good fight when going against that. Sacred, on the other hand, is joining in the first time. They said, we would like to try out the community night. We would like to show the DBDLeague community what we got. So it is kind of, we could say, the old experts of community night against a completely new team here today. And that's, I feel like, what makes it a little bit exciting.
And I've clearly done well enough to get invited back, right? They put in a pretty solid performance. Sacred could come up with absolutely anything. They could be some of the best players in the world. They could be total bots, anything in between that as well. But it's exciting to see. Anyway, remember that this is a live community night, so there is no stream delay whatsoever. I've got chat up on the side, so provided that you are reasonably polite, we can actually talk to chat the entire time. So if you had any questions about DBDL, about the upcoming playoffs, which are starting this weekend for Season 9, which I know that I'm personally incredibly excited for, and I hope all of you are as well. If you had any questions about that, then pop them in the chat. If you had any questions about what Dyer gets up to in his day, the fact that he just lost 20 euros due to speeding, ask him about that. Why don't you?
Don't expose me like that. I wasn't speeding, by the way. I was intentionally, not even unintentionally, ignoring the. Listen, okay, I will actually explain myself now since you put me on the spot. So basically,
for everyone.
basically, there was 100 all the time, and then very soon it goes down to 50 because there is a very harsh curve coming. So, and for whatever reason, they make the 100 into a 70, even though it's going absolutely straight. And then comes the 50. And for me, someone who's driving there every second day, I know that I have to go 50 soon. But what I'm doing, if I was just on 100, and then I know, okay, at this point I have to go 50, is I'm taking my foot off and I'm just letting it roll. And I know that I will be 50 by the time I'm going to arrive at the 50 sign. So I was 76 when they wanted me to go 70. Like, come on. And 75 wouldn't even be punished in Germany because +5 is fine. So it was 1 kmh. Like, come on. And for that,
chat,
20 euro.
Chat, can you do you smell something? Chat, can you smell that? It smells like copium, you know? Smells like cope.
Or copium in this case because
in this case. So
Arrow
yes,
break.
yes, the current owner, the current manager, commissioner, whatever. Your official title is commissioner, right? Yeah. The current commissioner of DBDL is a hardened criminal, guys. A hardened criminal now. What can I say? It's very rough, but yeah, yeah. The FBI are going to be knocking on your door any moment now. Anyway, what we were saying earlier, someone asked who I'm hoping to win the playoffs. That's a good question. I'm gonna be honest. I think Eternal. I don't. In terms of predictions, I'm not sure they'll win. To be honest, I think Ariandel are just like, sorry, not necessarily Ariandel, but Elysium are just too strong. I do think Elysium win, but I would like for Eternal to win because they have been historically dominant, and it will be kind of a return to form for them. They're still a phenomenal team. They're top 4. They're getting into Season 9 playoffs. For official purposes, they are one of the 4 best teams in all of Dead by Daylight right now, right? So I'd be interested to see if they're able to kind of make that comeback story. It'll be a really good narrative that they were so dominant, and then like they've been struggling a little bit against some of the higher tier teams, but then they're able to get the win through. But in terms of who I want to win, probably Eternal. In terms of who I think will win, probably Elysium. And I'm going to pose that same question to you, Dyer, in terms of your prediction to win, but then also who you would like to
win. That's a pretty difficult question because I hate predictions. I was always better in prediction than the founder of this organization, Willie Awesome, because this guy cannot do any prediction straight and correct. So I'm better than him. But my own predictions are always pretty bad. I do think that Elysium is going to take it. I feel like Elysium is a little bit more aggressive at the moment than Eternal. And when I see these top teams, then I want to see an aggressive playstyle. I want to see a team that is able to come in and roll the opponent over. And I feel like in week 8, 9, 10, Eternal was not fully showing that anymore. It might have other reasons. We know that Zaka was a little bit busy, even though I always don't want to count that as an excuse because, to be honest, you're the world-known DBD player. Like, a few days of university study shouldn't instantly knock you back that much. That's my personal opinion.
Rust can be a pretty real thing, but yeah, I'll hear you out.
Yeah. On I don't know, maybe it just doesn't count for me that much, but I feel like Elysium was a little bit harsher, a little bit more aggressive on the opponent, and has played out Season 9 in a very consistent performance. And I do think that Xeno's strategy and Xeno's game plan were most responsible for that. About who I would love to win, it's Ariandel. Ariandel was putting up multiple surprises during the main season. They won against Elysium, they won against Eternal, which should make them even the favorite for the playoffs, to be honest. And I would love if they win. It's a name we haven't seen yet on the top scoreboard, on taking the crown. So I feel like Ariandel would be really, really nice to take the win here. Calamity, I honestly think they're going to have a good run and a good showing, but I don't plan with them for the top 3.
Yeah, I think I agree. In terms of looking like who's in the playoffs, I mean, I want Calamity to have a good performance, but they are kind of like, to put it bluntly, they are sort of the odd ones out, right? Not to say they're a weak team in the slightest. Again, you take being the top 4 best in the world, but it almost feels like there's a little bit of like a tier break. I feel like if we had to make tier lists of teams, we would be putting Elysium at the top, and then honestly a tier break, and then you can have, even though Ariandel did beat Eternal, I'm willing to put them both in the same tier. And then I think we have another tier break, and then we have Calamity, and then with a couple of other teams, but Calamity showed up in the matches that were more important. I'm not entirely sure. I think they are just to be honest, will be sent down to the losers bracket quite quickly. They have Elysium in their first matchup, which is like it's like me trying to step into the ring with Prime Mike Tyson. You know, I would just get absolutely rolled. You know, it's not a fun position to be in. But then there's always potential for an upset, but over Eternal Arianda. I feel like Calamity can pull off win like that if they like really lock in, really focus up. So I think Calamity, provided they're able to get themselves out of that initial losers round and they're able to come top 3, I think they can be very, very proud of that, right? But I don't. It's not particularly realistic to say that they are going to necessarily win that one, right? We are waiting a little bit here. It is going to be Blight as our first killer, and Blight, I don't think we've seen all that much. I don't think we've barely been seeing Blight recently. I think it's I'd have to check the stat sheet real quick, but I feel like Blight is one of the most banned killers that we have right now.
I could imagine that, yeah.
People just don't really like it. There's the argument to be made that, because this is something that when I was on with when I was casting with Cole this Saturday, this is kind of a discussion that we were having during the match. In the 1v1, Nurse is the best killer. Simple as that. In the 4v1, there is a strong argument that Blight or Hillbilly could be better. You know? Blight, simply because not only do they have phenomenally good 1v1s, but their map pressure is insane. So their 4v1's great. The idea of, like, as Nurse, getting around the map is actually kind of slow in comparison to a lot of the other top tier killers, even slower than something like, say, similar speed to something like a Spirit, right? But when you are on the Billy or the Blight, you're able to get to the other side of the map, and then just a short few seconds later, you then have your really strong 1v1 power back as well. So there's the argument to be made that Blight is a better 4v1 killer than the Nurses, right?
I have to agree, Actor. How you are presenting us the most difficult circumstances and theories about DBD in such a beautiful language is lightening up my day every single time.
Are you in love with me, Daya? Are you flirting
Yes.
with me?
Right now, I'm in love with your wording, though. Not further than that.
I mean, I am the law. I am the law student, so that is kind of like my job, right? I have
That's
to be.
where it's coming from.
Yeah, I have to be very wordy with stuff, right? What I like, and it's on my Twitter, is when you're studying for law, you have to like note the very obvious stuff, even though it's like blindly obvious. Meaning, I had to have an entire section of my notes dedicated when we were doing law of trusts and land. I had to have an entire portion saying dead people cannot own property, because that's a specific thing that you have to outline. And then it actually got dealt with in a question at one point where they go on this big spiel about like some like dead person trying to pass something off via trust, and it's like they don't own property. They're dead. A dead person can't own anything because they are dead. It's stuff like that. The law is really strange, really peculiar. One case that I like. There's a case that I really liked, but I don't think I can reasonably discuss it on stream. One that I can is where it was like dealing with expert evidence. The idea that you can bring an expert in to give opinion evidence, and they brought a magician in from the magic circle to essentially say, did the criminal perform an act of magic? And he just went up and said, magic isn't real, so no. And everyone was like, all right, cool. And then they just found the guy guilty over that. So that's a good one. The law is very weird, but yeah, beautifully worded. And yeah, we're chilling. Still waiting for the lobby to come up. We have a couple of other kills as well. We have a nice mix, to be honest. All of these killers, with the exception of Wraith, are kind of specialist killers, right? Plague, Spirit, Billy, all a little more heavy than just hard M1 killers. So we have a bit of a nice mix-up in terms of both the power level and also the actual powers of the killers as well. It's going to be interesting to see how all these teams are going to adapt to those. Hopefully we don't get a repeat of the last Plague set, which we covered about 2 weeks ago. on the community night where I believe one Claudette just ran the Plague through power for 5 entire gens.
Oh, you God, yeah. Yeah, that was so heartbreaking because Plague is, I know it will upset a lot of people, but Plague is my favorite killer in comp DBD.
What?
Especially on the Suffer Pit. I just love her. She is forcing so many different things. First of all, it's so important to watch your 3 or 4 gen because later on she has a much easier time to have the survivors pressured because you're constantly broken. So you cannot be like against the Demogorgon, for example, working on the 3 gen, taking the injury and then using that speed boost to make the next tile. So you need to be more aware about your 3 or 4 gen from the beginning of the game, forcing a lot of communication and a lot of strategy. Right. The next reason is the chase. You have more, like the Plague is more unforgiving once she has all the survivors infected because you're 1 hit away from going down. And especially when we're going towards the mid part of a trial, where the mid-game chases need to open a time window for the survivor team, where you need a long chase. It makes a huge difference if you are able to get 1 mistake for free and only being injured, or if you're instantly going down. So it's putting more intensity on the chases. And third of all, you have the tactical decision making in terms of, do we cleanse? Where do we cleanse? Who do we send for an unhook, and so on. So you have great and intense chase gameplay while using somewhat classic mind games of an M1. You have more pressure and intensity in terms of communicating a 3 gen and being aware of it. And you have tactical decision making. And for all those reasons, Plague is the best killer in comp DBD and testing the most variety of skills. Changed my mind.
So you strike me as the kind of person who would see your phone go to 99% and then put it on low battery mode, right? Or maybe even the kind of guy who would wear a helmet on an exercise bike. The point which I'm making, it's valid, but I feel like we're different. You are more refined, and you like the idea of the tactics, the strategy. That does make a lot of sense, to be honest. There is a lot of strategy to Plague. It's a very, very macro-heavy game. But my brain can't deal with it because slow is bad, as far as I was there. I will say, my favorite killer to watch, and it's probably... Someone in chat saying Wesker. That's actually a really good shout. Wesker is super fun to watch simply because of the macro play, but also the mechanics. I genuinely think that Wesker is up there with maybe Blight, but I'd still say Wesker is probably the mechanically most demanding killer in the game, to be honest. More mechanically demanding than a Slinger or a Huntress, because yes, they have aim powers, but they function more as a zoning tool when used practically, right? My actual favorite is the Unknown. Part of it is because we've been seeing a lot of Unknown. Part of it's because I've been playing a lot of the Unknown recently, and they're just really, really fun to play. But also, it's so fast paced. There is always something happening. You know, a lot of the time in comp, killers will end up getting their first hook and then proxying it so they can get the tunnel out. You can still. It's a weird patchwork thing. It's a weird band-aid solution on the Unknown, because you can actually have them leave the hook and do other things because they'll place a hallucination next to it. But from a spectator point of view, it means that there is always something happening, right? Plus, the bounce shot's always super satisfying to watch, especially when they get pulled off properly. The teleports through loops into just a sudden M1 are always really exciting, so that's my vote. However, that is enough yapping, because finally we have a matchup. Leonidas going to be opening it up for, I believe, the Eunoia side killing first on the Blight. And that's definitely M1. Oh my.
Yeah, Leonidas was, just touching on that real quick, Leonidas was so dangerous in previous community nights as well. We have seen him on the Spirit, for example, where he almost 4K'd on 5 gens remaining. And he played a lot of other killers as well. He's also active in the 1v1 ladder. Quick advertisement there for our 1v1 leaderboard in the Discord server. If you would like to join, ladies and gentlemen, then hit !Discord and make sure to fight your way up the leaderboard in 1v1. You can even win cash prizes and sometimes even iridescent charts when behavior is supporting it as well. Now we are going to see the first down right here. Rainfall into the flashlight save. How is this community night starting? Jesus, that's amazing.
Yeah, and Rainfall actually going to be getting away with that. Does take the Vault, has another pallet to work with as well. This is delaying the injured, delaying that first hook stage for a bit longer, unfortunately, is going to be falling for that. Brief little mind game. Again, you can see the 1v1 experience of Leonidas coming out there, confident enough to swing through the pallet and get that hit through. Obviously, you are able to delay that first unhook. It does mean that the survivor who got that save wasn't necessarily working on generators in that time, but to get another 20-30 seconds of chase, which then eventually has to lead into the pickup and then the place on the hook as well, probably worth it regardless.
And the punishment for this flashlight save is pretty visible here. The delay of the first hook stage led to a lot of pressure on these generators. We have the first one coming out, and even this midsection generator that is crucial for the suffocation pit, as you can chain it into the 3-gen top or the 3-gen bottom, is already on a good chunk of progress as well. Therefore, great work by the survivor team. Hexruin will do a little bit of damage now, trying to go for the crouch tick there. Now we might be in a difficult spot here though, because the survivor is locked behind the main building. We can only hope that they are going to make it back in time, though we are checking onto the hook. Looney is coming in, trying to go for the unhook. That very much looks like just coming out as a trade here, and Rainfall now on a very crucial chase. You want to stay alive as long as you can. You want to go for a run here with the Blight, but oh, he does get the stun, and now he needs to make sure that he's staying alive.
Yeah, but again, the ability of Leonidas to catch straight up, it essentially doesn't really matter, right? Is going to be Rainfall living just a little bit longer there. I believe that would be a well-timed dead hard. So we're going to be certainly taking that one, accepting it for the time being. You can see earlier that Mansa was the one who wanted to go for the unhook, is the Deliverance survivor. They eventually had to trade out the Ada, but the pickup has come through here. And it's, dude, the amount of undying value that we've been seeing recently is really strong. You know that there's a survivor behind that rock for Leonidas, so you are going to play a little bit careful, look the other way, just so you don't have a repeat of last time. Second hook stage, going over to Rainfall now as well. And this is just kind of standard. This is kind of standard on this map, where the kill is just going to be defending the top side, right? This is where you can have your 3-gen. It's very choke heavy. Just the shape of it means that you can stick in a very small area and kind of present any survivor from crossing. So essentially, we are resorting to essentially trench warfare. And it's going to be absolutely ludicrous for the survivors to try and break this one. Mansa is going to be falling there. It's not exactly the... This isn't really who Leonidas wants. Still wants to get Rainfall, who is still in chase and has potential to be tagged up right here. Especially because, yeah, well-placed tree is going to be helping Leonidas there. Rainfall is going to be out of the game. Mansa can be picked up here, and then hopefully we can see a reset coming through. So, yeah. Never mind, not going to be happening. Mansa is able to get picked up, can go down again relatively quickly, is the Deliverance survivor. So you don't really mind too much if they end up going down here. You're not going to need any extra resources to help them out. But that's actually going to be one of these topside gens completed. Not sure if that's completely broken the 3-gen here. Have to see exactly where some of the other ones are, but it's certainly a good start, though you do give up your life for it.
And now we are on a very crucial turning point here. The survivors are fighting against the to-do list that the Blight is giving them. We are having the 2 healthy survivors at least, so they found the time to go for the reset. 3 generators done. Definitely not the worst result against an S-tier killer until you're losing the first survivor due to an elimination. Now it's going to be the interesting part though. How much time can we get out of the upcoming chases? Will we be able to break another generator at least to go into the 4K1, which is kind of a standard Blight win condition when still having the 3-gen, and that's definitely the case right here. We are going back towards this side here, top right of the main building. Another trade coming out, gaining a little bit of time for the team here. Immediate rehook. The Blight doesn't really worry about having more than one survivor right now because he's hooking inside of the 3-gen, exactly where you want to have the survivors. So they also need to make the tactical choice now. Do you maybe want to attack that 4th generator on the bottom side? That would be guaranteed to complete, and then you take the 4K1, or are you playing a little bit more risky, trying to go all the way for the 5 generators here? That's a decision that will also depend on the fact how long we are able to chase right here. Oh. Beautiful there from our survivor. Dante's really strong there, not giving the injury too quickly, dropping the pallet early as well to not take additional risk. This looked juicy.
Yeah, very juicy right now. Leonidas is going to be returning back to the generators, realizing this is exactly where you want to be, and Loon was able to pick up the medkit and get themselves healed up as well. Does have the overcome, so can tank a hit here and then try and maybe run back into the middle of the map. Playing a very unsafe pallet right now, but is going to be trying to make it work against the Blight anyway. Every single second you can buy a pallet like this is going to be good. And actually does get the stun up as well. This connects into the window, but unfortunately the Blight is just on the, you know, more correct side and going to be denying that one. Loon is going to use that overcome, but it doesn't really make all that distance. Kind of had to take some weird pathing off the back of that vault, meaning that you didn't actually get all that far away from the Blight, and that was so Leonidas skilled player, but that not normally. Someone check him PC.
My guy pressed F7 and just activated. No, of course he didn't. Leonidas, as said, really strong in the community nights we have seen so far. Definitely a very promising killer, that's for sure. And now the survivor team potentially struggling a little bit with the decision to attack the generators here on the top side. As we pointed out, if you are going for that shack generator, you would more likely have a guaranteed additional gen. It seems like they've made this change now. They want to take 4K1 at least, which is a good win condition, because then your Blight can play around the 3-gen. You're potentially able to take the 4K. Maybe you are even able to take a last-second escape through the door, making sure that you are taking the tiebreaker right there. And there we have generator number 4. Now, what we would need to do is getting the unhook on the top side, then going all the way bottom, resetting all 3 survivors, and then somehow attacking this 3-gen. A very difficult task to achieve.
I simply don't see a world in which this 3-gen gets broken, to be perfectly honest, right? The Shack by gen has been completed. Remember that gens are the primary win condition, so that's always going to be helpful. And getting 4 generators done against a Blight, especially one the caliber of Leonidas, is always going to be relatively impressive, right? But this entire side of the map is just sort of on lock. The Ada is going to be falling on the hook as well. You only have 2 members left, and Leonidas has no reason to go bottom side now. There's no generator there. You know that there are so many resources down there. There's still a full shack to work with. Going to be several filler pallets as well. You really don't want any of that smoke. All your gens are here. You're depleting pallets, resources over on this top side of the map. You have no reason to leave. I simply do not see the 3-gen being completed here. Nice little flick coming through from Leonidas, able to tag up Dante, who's going to be running back into the middle of the map. But again, Leonidas recognizing that the gens are where it's at. We are going to have... Actually, Mansa... GT not taking the vault there. It's going to just be delaying the inevitable. First hit coming through anyway. Now both survivors are injured up. If they want a chance here, they have to kind of make the distance and reset. But Leonidas sure as hell doesn't want to do that. Nice little turning the corner of Leonidas, kind of predicting where Manta would be. Unfortunately, that's a bet that didn't quite pay off today. That one, though, was a nice little 50-50 play. Leonidas winning the better of that one. Just going to be hunting down Dantes now, try and prevent the hatch play. Dantes is going to be injured as well, so it's going to be incredibly difficult to actually... It's going to be incredibly difficult to hide for this long.
And we are speeding back towards the top side, trying to make sure that we are finding Dantes before he could do a generator, which is more than unlikely. But of course, we would also love to take Dantes out of the game here in order to prevent the survivor from going into a last-second escape. And I don't know how you feel, guys, but it looks like we found Dantes, and it looks very unlikely that we are going to see an endgame escape right here. Leonidas with an ambitious swing onto the window right there. That's not going to connect, but now Dante starting the 1v1 ladder chase, trying to be the 1v1 champion, and that was an incredible chase time of 2.4 seconds. But to be fair, it was in an open field and against the Blight, so what are you really supposed to do? I guess there's nothing much.
That's a really long time, Dyer, alright? Really long time, don't even worry about it. Manta is going to be falling middle of the map as well. Dante's put on a hook there. 4 generators completed here for the side of Sacred. Not bad, to be perfectly honest. If anything, it's a pretty strong result. We don't need to go through the exact stat sheet. Normally I have it up at the start of every single... Normally I have it up at the start of every single cast I do, but here I have briefly forgotten. But I always like to do comparisons, right, with what is the average and what is actually... what actually comes out from these teams, right? Because I feel like 4K1 is... I feel like that's slightly above average from, right, from the Survivor side. So, not bad from the Survivors, but unfortunately Leonidas a little too powerful today, making great reference to the Greek Spartan general and playing like it as well, which always helps. We do love our little funny historical references in our silly little video game about hitting people and putting them on the hooks.
Yeah, also a very strong start, right? 4K1 is definitely how you will to start your game. 4K1 is giving your survivor team a lot of confidence. 4K1 is giving yourself as a killer a lot of confidence. On the other hand, 4K1 is not something too surprising on a Blight set. It can really happen, especially when you are facing a difficult region, which is kind of normal on the Suffocation Pit. So I see the possibility that the upcoming killer of Team Sacred is able to go for 4K1 as well. And then you're kicking off the Community Night with a tie. And then you can show your skills, say, again on the Suffocation Pit with the Plague. So there's definitely the chance for Sacred here to make a nice comeback in this upcoming trial. Before we are going on a break, are there any questions about Community Nights, Season 9, playoffs, Actors Breakfast? Anything you want to know about?
So I can actually tell you, this one I was feeling very cheeky because I kind of stayed up till I kind of like didn't really sleep. I kind of just stayed up till 7 a.m. playing Overwatch, and in my tired, hungry state, I was like, you know what, McDonald's breakfast. So I had a McDonald's breakfast. I had a sausage and egg McMuffin and a hot chocolate, and it was yummy. So that was my breakfast. So I hope everyone's better for that. Something really interesting. I know that we have a break to go on, but just something interesting that I'll point out quickly is that 4Ks in Season 9 have only actually happened 50% of the time on the Blight, which really surprises me. The average amount generated... The average hook stage of the game is 9. So I'm really interested in that. Blight is a very strong kill. I guess, hey, I guess the balance team are doing their job, you know? The rule committee are working in full effect to kind of neuter that threat as much as humanly possible. But yes, we can go on to a very quick break, and then we'll be back for our next matchup very shortly. Hello everyone, welcome back to our DBDL community scrim nights that are going to be happening. Sacred versus Eunoia. It's now, I believe, Sacred's turn on the killer role. Mansa going to be coming out, showing us what we've got. The exact same build as last time. Seems to be kind of locked in for Blight. There has been some room for variation. Some Blights opt for an Eruption or a Call of Brine even in certain situations for that information, but this seems to be the go-to right now. Remember, last time it was a 4K1 for the Eunoia Blight. This is a scrim night, so we aren't exactly keeping score in the traditional sense. Every single set will be played out, but we are, of course, going to make a mental note of performance, right? Mansa is getting into the first stage with Haizu already, but already, if you're making comparisons, you're behind schedule, right? You should have your first injure right about, I don't know, now.
And the down is at least an injury. Unfortunately, SAC pallet, just another filler pallet, will be dropped here to prevent a little bit of damage. We are not going to follow that survivor because we are all the way down on the bottom side SAC, and this means that we are in the corrupted area, so the survivors would have free access to the generators. Abdul left the generator early, but is still staying close enough for the Blight to anticipate where the survivor went, dropping that filler pallet. Mind game going to come out. Abdul being pushed around a little bit, so the distance won't be the biggest, and the injury coming out right here. Half of the survivor team injured now. But Hector, I agree with you. Usually you should see a down, especially in exchange for that first generator. And Mansa struggling with getting that so far.
Yeah, Mansa playing a little risky there. Could have bumped the tree and then made the turn for the safe hit, but opted not to save a little bit of time. And now there's going to be even more delay coming through. You are able to play that just by the skin of your teeth. You get your down. Finally is going to be coming through, but this was a run in the corrupted gens as well, so you weren't applying a great host of gen pressure. Your Ruin Undying is still up. Someone in chat actually was asking, how valuable new Ruin is, and in fairness, yeah, I'd agree with what Terracon says, because the fact of you can only have a certain number of regression events. Ruin doesn't really count towards that. It's kind of just one constant regression event, so you don't have to worry about those regression events until Ruin is gone, right? Also, it helps that on a kill like the Blight, you are able to pressure gens quite effectively. That does also beg the question of, well, why not just run an Eruption? Because that helps you get the gens kicking quite easily. It's actually going to be slicing through the loop there. Mansa getting a lovely little hit through, holding the middle side of middle isn't a side, it's a place. Holding the middle of this map right now to try and prevent anyone getting through for the unhook. Haizu is about guaranteed to be hitting second stage here, but gen pressure has been pretty good from the survivors.
Also, quick intermission. I would like to thank Gris the Wiz, who just bumped $100 into the All Hallows League 2024. That is a huge support, such a generous support as well. Gris the Wiz is already VIP for generous donations in the past and just slapped out another one. So yeah, we can only say thank you for that. It's certainly not something we can expect at all. It's insane how much support that is. If you wish to support our upcoming events, you can do that by watching the ad breaks. They are actually valuable. You can subscribe, you can cheer, you can donate, whatever you prefer if you have the interest in that. We offer a little bit of formats there, but $100 is out of this world. Thank you so much, Chris, and thank you for supporting All Hallows League coming up very soon. In the meanwhile, it seems like the Survivor team is not celebrating the donation as much as we do, because they're going down with 2 survivors already. Olix is jumping back on a generator, but he is injured, and our healthy Claudette needs to watch out that she's not taking too much risk. It's going to happen right here now. She has been caught out. Mansa should be able to get the injury here as well. They are able to get each other up and dropping the pallet. Unfortunately, though, we are right next to the hook. We're also vaulting into the blind. Actually, this looks like absolute chaos here.
Actual get down, Mr. President maneuver from Sponge. It didn't even buy the time that you wanted. Now, fair play to Hyzooks playing this well, but everyone is stacked around the hook. Hyzooks is eventually going to be falling. You can just bloodlust this one out if you're Mansa, right? Unless Hyzooks somehow juices for long enough here to wait out the bloodlust and then also pick up the Claudette. There's nothing to be happening right now. Ollie, I don't believe, has the medkit. I don't think the medkit has been dropped. That's your tie, at the very least, for Ollie, right? But now you've been found out. This has been a bit of a spectacular beef from the survivors. I mean, damage control says that, okay, we're in a rough spot, but can we at least get one person? If we're going to be going down, can we at least not do it right next to the hook so that our survivor has the opportunity to rotate over for the unhook and then run to a corner and try for the reset, right? But that clearly didn't work. So these teams, obviously, still very strong, but clearly showing that there is room for improvement, right? But that's what the night's all about.
Yeah, this is the important thing, right? You're playing here, you cannot go for a DC, you cannot restart the trial once you're facing a difficult turn in the game. And it is a very important learning point. I remember back then from Colt, for example, we never disconnected in a scrim, and we also didn't do that on Golden Wolves either, because there are matches that can take a horrible turn. There can be an unexpected down, there can be an unexpected DC because your mate is losing the internet, anything like that, and you need to practice how you are coming back from a difficult situation like that. I feel like such a situation we have seen here. We had a very confident survivor team at the beginning, only handing out a down after the first generator was already completed, and from there, and this dominance that we have seen early on, I think we can call it like that, everything went south and everything went downhill. So unfortunately for the team of Eunoia, we are going to have the tie here. Feel like they were really working towards getting the first set point here, but we have a tragic turn of events. 4K1 on both Blights, definitely showing us a lot in terms of the skill on the killer side. On the Plague though, same environment actor. Do you have a team that you think will be stronger on the Plague set?
I quite literally do not. Sacred survivors seem strong, but Eunoia survivors seem slightly stronger, right? From what I'm initially gleaming right here, I do think that Eunoia is ultimately the stronger team, right? That has yet to be seen, and I am very glad Sacred to prove me wrong right here. This game only ended in a tie, I believe, due to the kind of late game collapse and the mistakes of the Eunoia survivors, rather than Sacred necessarily playing out of their mind, right? Like, I do believe that there was no real way back into that for the killer had there not been the beef of the century from all of the survivors, all of the injured survivors, by the way, going down right next to the hook, right? So we are... I had brain fog there for just a moment. That's not very nice.
No problem, I got you.
Thank you. But yeah, we should be... I still think Eunoia are the stronger team here. So going over to Plague, they just can't have that collapse again, especially because we know how snowbally Plague is, right? We know how horrific it can be. You were saying earlier about how macro heavy it is and how you can't just rely on having insane 1v1 chases, barring that one time we got ran for 5 gens, but I feel like that's more of an exception than the rule, right? You need to stick together as a team. You can't just rely on having one survivor juicing the killer for 12 entire days, you know? And Eunoia cannot let a collapse like that happen again.
Also, Actor, there's a question for you in chat.
Oh my god.
From Savannah herself.
Okay,
Savannah, what's your question?
Yelling question. Wow, you know how to get someone's attention. I'll say that much. Jesus, we're waiting.
Yeah, and now not dropping it. This is like the people that are calling you, and you are instantly calling them back, and then they are not picking up the phone.
Basically,
this is the same feeling.
Yeah, and now everyone has a question about Savannah's question as well.
I also have a question about that.
You have a question about the questions. Would I pick an apple with a worm in it or pizza with pineapple? Pizza with pineapple? Like, obviously? I don't feel like that's really like a proper question, because it's like it's like, okay, would I rather literally, okay, even if you think that pizza and pineapple sucks, it's like, am I going to eat edible things which just are like in a way which I don't like? So for me, it's like, I don't like peas, right? So it's like, would I rather have a plate of peas or a literal worm? Like, why would I eat a worm? I could die or something. I don't know what a worm's eaten. Like, it's not great. Technically, worms are edible. Well, technically, the microphone that I am like speaking into right now is edible. That doesn't mean I'm going to start munching down on it like, yummy blue snowball flavor. Mate, it's like, Jesus Christ, you'll need to get a grip.
That was a very intense answer.
God will punish me. Okay, well, that seems a bit hard. Savannah, you're literally... For reference, everyone, Savannah is in the VC right now and is choosing to insult me over chat instead of, like, speaking like a regular person. And, yeah, and you're not going to say anything, you're just going to continue typing in chat as well. How do I know it's snowball flavored? Because it is a blue snowball mic, so I would hope it tastes of blue snowballs. I don't know what a blue snowball tastes like, to be perfectly honest, though. So I don't know. Like, right now, Savannah is quite literally the meme of just like, shows up, says you are wrong, refuses to elaborate, and leaves. Just Christ, Jesus.
What is dementia?
What is dementia? That's a good question. We're thinking about intriguing stuff here today on the. We're thinking about intriguing stuff here today on the. Yeah. You know what? Actually, Savannah, I'm gonna take this one off, and you're gonna cast this next set. How about that? Sound good? Does that seem fun? That's a no. That's a no. I see. Well, so clearly you can talk the talk, but you can't walk the walk. Anyway, we're getting into like prime yapping territory, and I'm like a great yapper, but we do need to focus up a little bit. I feel like we've spoken quite a lot about Plague, so what I'm interested in is going through a couple of the stats, right? Big shout out has to go to, I just want to make sure that I get this right as to who's worked on all this. This would be, Toby.
Correct.
Or Imitatia, I'm unsure. But Imitatia, Toby, the DBDL stats guy, self-declared. This has worked on this spreadsheet, and it's so useful. It's great. It has match history. It has perks overviews, killer bands overviews, average kills, team performances. It's really solid stuff. So obviously, huge thanks there. Plague on average, I'm surprised it's only a 4K about 60% of the time, which is definitely, it's on the more average end, right? The average 4K percentage is of all killers is about 55%. Plague is 58%, so it's slightly higher than average, but that kind of surprises me, simply because there's so much room for error in a Plague set. The theory is that you should get outs against the Plague, but it's so hard to execute because so many things have to go right as a team, and against certain killers, the survivors are very much in control of their own fate, right? If it's, say, a Wraith or a Cenobite or something like that, it's more a case of, okay, well, this is going to be a game dictated by the survivors and their performance. Plague, it's the exact opposite. You have to play to that Plague's will, right? Average generates a game 4.5, 10 hook stages a game, situation. So yeah, Plague certainly about as the most average performing killer as you could get. I would also be interested to see whether there's a stat on this for the length of matches, because like it feels like Plague sets last years and years. It's kind of up there with Ghostface, you know. Fortunately, I don't have to cast that much Ghostface because, fun fact, Ghostface is my fun fact. Ghostface is my least favorite set to cast, but that's just me. That's just me.
Unfortunately, we also loaded into the wrong map. Ladies and gentlemen, we can only...
That didn't look like the right map.
We can only apologize for the delays. We are aware that we have taken 50 minutes so far for the first set. Unfortunately, we are not able to control that really. Earlier, we had someone who found out that they are not able to log into their Discord account anymore. It will stay a secret to me how you find that out 2 minutes before your game in DBDL, that you are not getting into the Discord account. Makes me wondering what you were doing before. Were you talking to your team on Snapchat or something? Now we have lobby issues because the players have wrong names. Now we're loading into the wrong map. We always feel sorry for that. On the other hand, there's only so much we can do. So maybe the team can do us a favor and get themselves a team manager or something like that to be a little bit more organized. So this is feedback number 1 that we are giving both of teams that they need to.
You mean the teams aren't communicating via carrier pigeon?
Correct. Kind of. Yeah, but one feedback for the teams, very honest. A little bit of administrative work needs to be put into the approach onto events. Nonetheless, we are in on the suffocation pit with the Plague. Dante's going to take the responsibility now, puking a little bit on the gens here. Perfect information tool that the Plague has there available for the healthy survivors. And agitation is interesting, yet not too surprising, because since we are having 3 and 4 gens on the suffocation pit that you can really use to put pressure on the survivors when you're getting a hook inside of it, it seems to be a very understandable perk choice here.
Yeah, you can see that the Adam did have the bounce landing, did opt to pull the trigger on it a bit early. It's a lot better to be safe than sorry, and this is how the start of every Plague set goes, to be honest, right? There will be corrupted gens, so all the Plague's going to do is go to the 4 generators, keep infecting them on loop, and getting infected is essentially a huge no-no for the survivors, right? They just do not want it to happen under any circumstances, right? Interesting enough, some teams end up making the adaptation to a no-mither, so that they have someone that can pressure gens at the start of the game. The issue is that, well, that can backfire, because in that first minute, say, of the game, if the no-mither survivor gets caught, they can just instantly go down, and then everything collapses from there, right? Dante's is now going to be opting to, actually not going to be infecting counter, going to be injure instead. Not sure if that's a little bit of confidence, the ability to infect later, or just prioritizing the injury here. You do have 2 Apple add-ons for Dante's right now, so instead of hard prioritizing infections, is also going to be happy to have a strong chase power, right? That's generally the distinction that we see between the add-ons bought by Plague. Some are of the philosophy that they're going for the infection add-on, so they can infect as many people as quickly as possible. Some opt to go for double Apple add-on, so they have a lot of access to that corrupt purge, because survivors are really hesitant to cleanse in any situation, right? And then there's the final alternative, which is a mix of both.
The good thing so far that I really like is how the survivor team is able to prevent getting everyone injured and infected from the beginning. Usually you have Plagues that are taking control from the get-go. They are able to vomit on multiple survivors at the start, or puke on the survivors. Puking sounds a little bit better. Interesting for me, though, the decision-making of the survivor team here, because we were sending the broken survivor for the rescue, now resulting in a trade, basically. Considering that we had Olix and Sponge both healthy, Actor, wouldn't it be a good idea that one of these survivors would have taken the trade? Or the Anuk?
Possibly. It's not really going to matter now. They are all just going to get infected up in this corner. Sponge is actually juicing around a tree. That sounds like a very weird Christmas anthem, but still works out anyway. And is going to be eating up an injure as well. Now things get a little bit rough, because for Dante's, you there's a line in which you lock down this side of the map, is where you have this hook. It's near a choke point. You can kind of keep it contested. The issue is the survivors already completed a generator on this side of the map, right? So this isn't, you can't hold a 3-gen there anymore. There are only 2 gens there, right? We are going to get the unhook coming through, full survivors. At least they don't have to waste any time healing, right? But this is the stage of the game where things can change drastically for the Plague, right? Everyone is infected. Everyone is injured / broken. This is where your chase power can be horrifically strong, like borderline uncounterable, right? As the survivors, your key condition here is to just play split, right? You cannot play together and risk the killer slugging or getting several downs with a single use of the power, right? If you're going to face off against Plague while she has the Corrupt Purge, you want to minimize damage as much as possible, only have one survivor go down for it right now, and it seems as if Dante's is eyeing up this infection pool right here.
And the mind games now being very important, and Olix is able to stay alive. Very important to make it back into the main building here, wasting more time from the Plague. We have 3 survivors fully broken. We see cleansing in the distance as well. Interesting strategy from the survivor team, and unfortunately not able to make another turn here. So the 3rd hook stage is coming out. Meanwhile, 10% over here, 50 over here. Yeah, generator pressure is rising, yet not the most convincing, considering that we have a survivor on the 2nd hook stage already, and now the power being available as well. Olix immediately rotating towards the bottom side when realizing that the Plague is taking the power here, but he will not make it far, and now we are having 2 downs over here. The other survivor in the midsection was waiting if the Plague would go for a slug here. The answer is no, but we have agitation, so Plague should make it to the hook relatively quickly and will now be able to trap the survivors up here, snipe onto counter raid, and things seem to fall apart once more here.
And you've got everything you could possibly ask for, right? A hook, a down, an injury, and a partridge in a pear tree in the form of Sponge right now is going to be forced to be the one to get that unhook and get infected as well at the same time. There is still time left in this power for Dante's, and he's kind of hot on the heels of a couple of the other survivors as well. But eventually is going to realize you don't quite have the time to get there, but you're very happy with this. You're in such a dominant position right now as the Plague. A 4K here looks almost certain. Potentially, you could even deny 2 generators. It's more than likely that at least 1 gets completed here, but you can definitely deny a 2nd and get a 4K 3 here. That's very attainable. Dante's had a very strong performance thus far and has the power as well. He's taking the chase through onto Sponge. Isn't even going to need the power for that first injury coming through. Tries for the cheeky little angle, don't quite have it. Dante's thought that you had that one on lock, trying to mind game around this tile right now, but Sponge, a little too much wherewithal for that. He's going to hold forward. You're a lunatic, Dante's, bro. Okay, that's a no-looker if I've ever seen one. My goodness.
That was insane what we have seen right there. Attempting, going for it. I mean, this is needing a little bit of confidence as
I'm
well.
I'm not chill anymore. I thought this would be a chill stream. I'm not chill right now. I'm hype.
Yeah, these teams are not giving anything to each other, especially when we are looking from the killer side. The 4K on 1 gen remaining from the Blight, and to be honest, it looks much worse with the Plague at the moment. 4K4 potentially, 4K3, Plague dominating on the suffocation pit. I can already see the headline in the BBC News later on. Olix, counter raid, and Heizog needs to be very careful. They need to make sure that the Plague is not going into a snowball with the power here. The good news is we do have 2 gens all the way on the top side, so there's definitely something that you can do, but counter raid is lurking in the midsection, not working on the generator just yet. The other survivors at the shack, not on the gen as well. We get at least 1 more, but Actor doesn't look like a clear decision making, I would say. Either you're going for the save here or you're grinding the gens, and I don't see A or B clearly being decided.
and that we have very slight amount of this power left from Dante's, and Hyzux is playing the Shack quite well, and is going to deny that one. Oleg's actually going to be cleansing right now. Dante's now just has to play the Shack full M1 mode, and Hyzux has a little too much wherewithal for that one. He's eventually going to zone him out into the corner of the map right there, getting the break on that side. Very important, actually. It means that you don't allow this kill to get back inside map. You proc another eruption. This is going to be the death hook onto Hyzux. We have to see how much damage that eruption did, right? You can see the survivors, they're two-manning one of these generators. They are actually going to get 3 gens out of this. That's, considering how rough of a spot they're in, that's actually quite impressive, right? So, fair play to our Eunoia survivors here for getting that 3rd generator completed. Any more than that would be wishful thinking.
Now, Olix, the healthy survivor, with a chance to show us a longer chase and get a little bit time out of Dante's here, but we're taking the power instead. We don't want to follow Olix though, instead going back towards the bottom side. An understandable choice since we are having the 3-gen setup down there. We're queuing the Cygnus again. A lot of interesting decisions today, I have to say. We barely see cleansing against the Plague anymore in competitive DBD. Usually the first time a team is considering it is in the end game. On the other hand, I do feel like what we can tell here is that the Survivor team really struggles to get in the needed pressure into the generators. We have 1 elimination already, we have 8 stages and still 2 generators standing. And considering the trial is not going as they expected, they might feel a little bit safer when they are fully healthy. So I understand the choice. On the other hand, you are giving Plague a very powerful tool, and I'm not too sure if that's a correct calculation here.
I mean, like, imagine, as you say, imagine if this killer played a little bit meaner, quote unquote, right? All of the hook stages have been spread out. This, for competitive DBD, this is one of the fairest matches that I have seen, right? In terms of hook stages. Generally, you get your first hook and then you just kind of get that survivor out of the game by any means necessary, right? Instead, the Plague splitting all of these hooks has allowed the survivors to get a little bit cheeky here, get a couple extra generators that maybe they should have, but it doesn't ultimately matter, and this is going to be a 4th gen popped here. I feel like the survivors haven't done spectacularly in the early game at least, but this Plague's decision to not hard commit to 1 driver, it has been relatively punished. A 4K1 we were not expecting at all. We saw earlier a 4K4 was potentially on the table. 4K3 was incredibly likely had you been a little more brutal with it, but clearly opting to not play that brutal style here.
And trying to snipe again onto counter, not quite working, but there is a longer time to chase. Balanced landing coming out though, that's going to save us from the infection as well. Good job here by Counter 8. Olix and Counter versus Dantes. That's the 2v1 scenario.
Epic rap battles of
right
history.
Here. Yeah, and there he gets the infection as well. Tight 3-gen, difficult 3-gen, especially in a 2v1 scenario. The Survivor team would have needed to identify that 3-gen earlier and get it out of the way more aggressively. Now they will suffer from facing this. We are getting a lot of infection into Olix, so just a few more seconds and the Survivor is fully broken, and there's going to be Counter 8, unfortunately vaulting into the Plague, getting more of the infection. We have an injury and running back towards the Shack, now staying inside of the 3-gen area, so not going too far. Olix cleansing one more time on the top side, but Dantes now realizing that he has time to chase down Counter 8, which would ultimately give him a hook stage inside of the 3-gen, so he should have taken that.
Dante's, I mean, clearly just playing around the gens, right? This does make sense to a degree, even if it is a tad slow, but, you know, you are playing to win right now, and Plague kind of recognizing that the early game. The main idea is Plague just shouldn't be in this position right now. Plague is going to get the 4K. That is all but guaranteed, right? There is no way that a last generator gets completed by the survivors right now. But I am just still so incredibly confused as to how this even happened in the first place. Right? Alex, what are you doing, big lad? I have no idea what's going on right now. Alex is doing miraculous things. He's actually buying a lot of time for Counter Raid's gen, which is, I believe it's progressing slightly faster. Counter Raid might have deja vu. Do they get the last gen completed here? No way. We have like 20 more seconds left on that generator. Dantes is now going to go to it and pressure it out. It also has an eruption on it, so if any survivor goes down, that is going to start resetting again. There are still regression events here, but Counter using the balanced landing to get out of dodge there quite a while. That gen is getting some remarkable progress, and it's also slowly but surely hitting its regression limit. Counter Raid is running to the side of the map right now. How long can you make this chase last, right? Turns out not at all, because Plague doesn't care about that. Does find Olex, and Olex wanting to make out with a tree right there. Reminds me of me back in high school, unfortunately, but it's not really a good play.
I mean, if they would have gotten the 3-gen, that would have been a huge thing to learn today in terms of your team. Realizing that even in a 2v1 scenario with a tied 3-gen, you are able to still pull something. And I think we saw the potential there from the team. They were doing what was required. They were constantly running towards the top side, not taking too much risk. So the idea, I would say, was there. We have seen the basics of playing a very organized trial. We have seen the basics of an organized survivor team. So this is something that we can note down positively here for the side of Eunoia. On the other hand, Sacred with a very strong Plague performance. I feel like Dantes could have even 4K'd a little bit earlier if a few pukes and a few chases would have been enforced a little bit more confident, because having the elimination on 4K4 and a lot of survivors injured is definitely something that you should make more benefit out for your team.
I'm just confused as to how the game even reached this level, to be honest. Plague should have been finished with us about 10 minutes ago. It is, as you said earlier, I mean, I kind of just have to repeat that point of you cannot get complacent. And I feel like our Plague today, Dantes did get a little bit complacent. Yes, you get your 4K, so you do get your average result on the play, your 4K1, but there was no need for that. You had such a commanding position in the early game. You had several survivors who you could have tunneled out, and yet you opted not to do that. And, I mean, it's wholesome, for sure, but it did also allow the survivors to just kind of steal 2 more generators under your nose. And yes, this is a scrim, yes, this is a community night, but again, play for the job that you want, not the job that you have, right? While we appreciate the wholesomeness, it also didn't really work in this case. It meant that your result was not particularly strong, and something like that could make a big difference in, organized matches.
I'm interested to see what Leonidas can bring in, though, because we have seen the confidence on his killer. We have seen that he plays aggressive on killer. So this might be the difference now on the Plague set. One Plague being a little bit, hesitant maybe, not taking the full potential. And now a Plague coming that is known, or at least the killer player behind it is known for a very strong and confident gameplay. So maybe we will see the difference here. I mean, it would be funny if they 4K1 again and this just keeps going for the entire best of 5. Might be something we can agree on as well. But we will find out how it's going on the Suffocation Pit with the Plague. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take a quick break and we will see you in just a moment.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our community scrim night. It's time for Leonidas to take their turn on the play. Just briefly, someone questioned in the chat, and this is where the stats page is coming in. Who has the highest 4K percentage? Now, right now, in DBDL, it's actually Wraith, interesting enough, with an 80% 4K percentage. However, looking at how many Wraith sets have been played, there's only been 10, right? Which is on the lower end of matches. So, Wraith has 80%. The other two kills which have a lot more playtime and are also high kill sets are Dredge and Unknown, who are tied with 73% each. Those is our second place. However, we can now talk about the video game in front of us, which is going to be a nice sprint burst, denying the infect onto Manster for a little bit longer. Crouch as well, but eventually is going to be forced to vault that window, get tagged up with an injury and an infection. Pentimento is out, and fun fact, Pentimento, even though in theory it makes a lot of sense to run Ruin Undying Pentimento on the Plague, due to the fact you can protect those totems with your infection, the fact it's more passive slowdown, it means you don't have to get over to the generators. Pentimento has not been run in this season of DBDL in the slightest, so Eunoia is definitely experimenting something new here for Eunoia. We're going to be seeing whether it works out or not.
Going back towards the main building, one of the most valuable resources on the suffocation bit. Nice try there with the firecracker, but unfortunately not able to force the blind. Dante's getting infected now and is not in the best position. This pallet can very quickly turn into something very unsafe, and it's forcing a lot of 50-50 so far. He is able to do that, but just when he's going around the pallet, Leonidas decides to break it, trying to minimize the distance that Dantes can take. There's going to be the injury as well. Lucky for our David that the infection didn't fully come through, the result of his good looping and his good showcase up here. First generator coming out now. Leonidas struggling to get the first down. Definitely looking better from the survivor team compared to the previous tiles. Sacred here a little bit more efficient, a little bit more time on their hands for the gens as well, and Leonidas is actually allowing Dantes to get all the way back towards the midsection here, which is punishing for the Plague.
Yeah, it's so rough to play this midsection. There are walls absolutely everywhere to deny your power. A lot of these loops are very tight and close to the pallet, and you always have to respect pallets so hard, because one stun is going to knock you out of your power, right? That being said, Asura in essentially a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation there, right? Couldn't exactly drop the pallet, or else would have just had the corrupt spit on them. Couldn't run through because you didn't have the distance for it either. That being said, we are going to see another generator in the corner of the map, actually being two-man by the survivors right now. They'll be able to complete the gen, but now they have to worry about getting away, and Dante's not going to be so lucky. And now it's Mansa who's caught up in the chase right now. If Mansa gets caught here, it's over. Mansa cannot die. Needs to at least buy time for Looney to rotate for that unhook. And it seems like that's going to be happening. Looney is going to be running their little legs as fast as possible through the map. Actually is going to get the Plague tower fully out, but that's the down there. And now you know that Leonidas is just going to head straight over to this unhook, right? Is going to get the infect, going for an exchange, and it's actually going to cancel, so that's going to be the exchange coming through. Now can run down Asura, and that would be the match in the blink of an eye, right there. Asura has to buy time, has to drop Shat Pallet, has to get the pickups onto Mansa and Dante's right now. Does get one for the time being. There is a world in which the survivors stay alive for just a little bit longer here. Sura using life to make some distance, but in all this chaos, they can't get the pickup, and they're running right through into a corrupted pool as well.
Yeah, I think I formed my very short 1 minute. This is crazy. The survivor team barely trying to get themselves back onto the feet here. Looney able to dodge 3 pukes, though a little bit of a comeback chance for our survivor team. But eventually it's all coming to an end here. Asura now the final standing survivor. Actor, I think I formed my final opinion about these teams based on what we've seen so far. I feel like the killers are strong. That's for sure. They know what they are doing and they look confident. And not only because the survivor teams are making mistakes, you can see they are having perk builds that are showing a good idea for the upcoming trial. They are mechanically showing us some skill on the killers. So it's not like these killers are simply profiting from survivor mistakes. But the survivor teams on almost every trial so far have started good. And then from one moment to the other, it all went downhill. It takes one difficult down, one unexpected turn, and the entire trial is basically over. And it happened both times because an accumulation of the survivor players. In the Blight, we had the hook down here, we had a chase next to it, and a second survivor coming for the rescue, and it all ended in a slug. And the same happened here on the Plague. We were injured, Plague took the power, and we were running into the teammates, and we were accumulating, stapling survivors onto one location, basically 10-15% of the Suffer Pit, and out of nowhere a snowball is happening. And this is something these teams need to prevent in the future, that from 1 second to the next, the trial mixes from we have no stage so far into 4K.
It shows, it kind of stands to reason, right? These players are obviously very skilled, there's no doubt about that, but they haven't played in the comp setting for all that. But obviously they're getting relatively new to the comp setting, and they haven't necessarily prepared for these chaos scenarios, right? Our top teams, the one in DBDL, they've been in situations like this before. It's nothing to them, right? Like, oh, well, 2 of our players just gone down corner that. That's fine. We already have our man rotating for the unhook on the other side, right? They planned for this beforehand. Doesn't seem to be the case here. And Leonidas actually not going to be able to safely get a hook onto Dante's due to just the hook positions, and Dante's crawling into a corner, so we are going to wait for that bleed out. Remember, if we were using official rule set, that would still count as a fresh hook. Bleed outs will still count towards the fresh hook counter, so that's a quality of life change right there. But yeah, the survivors just kind of collapse under pressure. It feels like they have a plan at the start and they execute it well for a bit. That being said, I am going to be slightly confused as to why they were two-manning such a risky generator in the corner against a player who had power up while they were both fully infected and broken. Right? What chat? What did you think about that, Matt? I'm gonna hand it off to you guys. What do you think could have maybe gone differently for either of those teams right there? How is everyone doing today? I'm doing relatively chill, actually. I'm doing very
Chad,
chill.
if you would imagine that you are the team manager giving the team a feedback, how do you play the next Plague trial to make sure this doesn't happen again? What would you say?
Didn't they cleanse a lot? Who played Survivor? Yeah, Eunoia. Eunoia survivors did cleanse quite a lot, to be honest, but that was near the. Actually, was it near the end of the match? I don't entirely recall. They were cleansing a lot. It was mid-match. And that is, yeah, mid-match. That's really uncommon. Yeah, it's certainly not something we're used to. Mostly because cleansing just gives access to such a strong power, and you don't really want to do that. If you are going to cleanse, you do it on the very other side of the map as to where all the action is happening, which they did do on occasion. So yeah, there is also just the advice of just don't get downed. Yeah. What? Hey, Dyer, you're the league commissioner. I've got a question for you, all right? And listen up, right? If these
Savannah's also league commissioner, ask her.
Oh, okay. No, yeah, but you're the one talking to me right now. Savannah's just going to call me mean names in the chat again. If these are such quote-unquote skilled survivors, right? Why don't they just have chases that last 10 minutes, huh? Answer me that. Answer me that. Answer me that. Clever, man.
And also know it in competitive DBD. Uwu.
Unfortunately,
yeah, this is Yeah, people often, like what you described is the important thing, right? When you are making this wrong decision, like the mistake they made was the decision to team up in the corner there and being trapped. After you do that, there's nothing you can do anymore to get a longer chase time. You are basically handing over yourself to the plague.
It's a gen that you just don't work on against a plague.
Yeah.
It's a gen that you just don't work on when both the survivors are injured. Like, you have no way out. Maybe if it's like, it's fine to maybe double up a gen on a corner if you actually have something nearby, maybe, like at least a couple of filler pallets. But you had SAC, which was a bit of a hop away, but you couldn't have gotten to that in time, especially because the window was on like the other side, I believe, from where the gen actually was. So literally, what is the point? It just feels baffling. Again, it's a scrim night. Teams are still trying to figure it out. However, that is something that they definitely need to be figuring out, right? Third set of the day. This is in the pin messages, and can I see the pin messages? Can I read? Spirit! Ooh, Spirit's going to be fun. Records out. I've actually been playing a lot more Spirit recently. I've realized that I don't have ears, but Spirit was always a fun one to watch. The micro is always quite entertaining. There's nothing quite like watching Spirit just come out of phase and then instantly slice a survivor down. It's one of the most satisfying things you do. Actually, chat, here's a question. What is the most satisfying thing that you can do in DBD? I think it's up there. Like, I don't know why, but just the audio of hitting either a long-range Huntress Hatchet, just because, I don't know why, but just like that little audio of like the hit coming through, not close range. Close range is whatever, right? But a long-range Huntress Hatchet or a Slinger Shot. Again, I just love the sound design. It's like, it's just dopamine straight into my brain, you know? Also getting a down with the Unknown's power. Getting the weakened, not necessarily. Getting an injured, not necessarily. But the down, that's pretty satisfying. 316 Bubba's Saw. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, when you actually use it properly at a loop and like you just barely get the hit through, that's always going to be pretty nice, right? Clean 180 with Oni, Unknown Snipe. Yeah, Unknown Snipe. So anything that kind of lends itself over to a skill shot, right? That generally helps out. Bump logic combat. Yeah. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about cars in Dead by Daylight, but they just don't like function like entities at all. It's quite interesting. Cars in the Dead by Daylight universe canonically aren't real. So, you know, say that, ladies and gentlemen. 180 Oni flips always nice as well. Again, I feel like a lot of it, this is going to sound odd. DVD has like really good sound design in that sense where like it's pure dopamine, like when you get those kills, right? It's like, as a comparison, I don't play a lot of, say, Valorant, but Valorant has one of the nicest like kill like confirmation noises in game, right? Like the ascending like tune, like for every single kill you get, especially with the visual indicator of the headshot as well, is stuff like this. Do I like vanilla? Savannah, you're literally right here, man. Okay. Do I like vanilla ice cream, or is it too vanilla for? I mean, it's not my favorite, but I do like vanilla ice cream. But that's also like saying, do you like sandwiches? But we don't ask Dyer's opinion on whether they like or whether he likes sandwiches or not, or else I'll get angry.
I only heard that Savannah's angry about sandwiches, which is something that I can confirm out of my real life experience.
No,
but she's also getting angry when I'm also.
Like
she's also getting angry when I'm eating her cookies. She's angry when I'm throwing her ice cream away because she dropped something on.
Jesus.
A lot of
Jesus.
annihilation happened there. I am not the biggest fan of sandwiches. I have to I have to admit that.
But like how? It's like it's bread and like anything. You can put anything in there and like it's just bread.
Maybe I have a different understanding what you mean with a sandwich, because for me a little bit of bread and cheese is a toast, and a sandwich is something very nicely done. At least from the German language, sandwich would be like lettuce, tomatoes, onions, chicken, and everything like that. And there I always feel like you're making such a nice dish basically, and then you just bump it into 2 toast slices and you call that a meal. You could do so much more with that if you would cook some pasta or anything like that. So that's why I'm not the biggest fan of sandwiches.
Yeah, but it's quick, you know, like you can literally just grab 2 slices of bread, put like some ham like in the middle of it, put some butter or mayo, whatever you want. It literally takes like 2 minutes, and bam, you have lunch. Like,
yeah, that's a
nice
toast.
No, it's 2 slices of bread, and you put ham. That's literally what a sandwich is. Like, you get 2 slices.
No, not in German.
You put them together.
Not in German. Leave me alone.
Germany's not real. Germany isn't real. Okay, we have a game. We have a game apparently. Apparently, there's the Spirit that's playing right now. Okay. We are going to be getting our first hit onto Manta, but it has actually taken quite a while for this hit to come through. To answer Vince's question, a scream is essentially, it's just a practice game. You play in competitive conditions with a competitive rule set, but without the actual stakes of competition. So whoever wins this, it's not going to mean anything ultimately in the long term. It's practice, right? So it's a scrimmage, it's a practice, it's a little bit of killy fun time between good pals, whatever you want to call it. But I think scrim is probably a more succinct term than killy fun time between good pals.
Now trying to go straight for more here, taking the pressure that we have so far, and we're finding Ada moving down here, unfortunately not able to injure her before, and even not when we are down here in the basement. We are not able to injure anyone. The firecracker forcing to look up actually did a lot of work here. Second generator already coming out. Good results so far against the Spirit here, moving around this pallet. 50-50, the vault coming out, but Leonidas expecting it, and Mansa going down here. 40% on this generator. Survivor team seems a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more efficient. I like to see that, because Eunoia is very strong on the killer side again. Sacred needs to speed it up a little bit on the survivor side if they want to deal with that. Leonidas, a confident Spirit, and especially when you are getting so much time out from the killer in the early game, you really need to make sure that this is going into the gens.
Yeah, that is kind of what you need right there. Interestingly enough, and this is something that I might question, is that the heal came through onto Ada using the medkit from Nancy. That's going to be charges in the medkit, which you don't have to use for a self-heals later. I believe that with these exact add-ons, you get exactly 2 self-heals out of this, but using them to just heal up the Ada a bit quicker means that you, in fact, do not have that. So, interesting there. Is going to be the exchange coming through. Looney is going to be eating it down here, but if you're Spirit, you just do not care about this, right? Asura is likely going to be the one coming in for the pickup onto Looney, as Mansa, it seems, is just kind of accepting fate. It's going to try and live for as long as possible, and there's potential you have here. You could say, oh, you can play the 1v1 better, but Spirit's 1v1 is so difficult, right? When you're uninjured, it's very doable. You can start, you know, you can tell when they're using your power, you can try and juice it. When you're injured, it's free. It's just too free for them to get that kill through onto you, right? And even more medkit healing is being used, so now you're only going to have 1 use of the self-heal in that medkit, and I feel like that's kind of the main value that you get from it, right? But right now we are going to be seeing that first kill going through. 3 generators are going to be done, which is relatively industry standard for the Spirit. Spirit averages the 4K 63% of the time, not surprising, considering quite how strong. Survivors will average 3.75 generators a game, so if the Survivors can get 4 generators done here, then they are on track to be above average. And they have 3 healthy Survivors, a decent split of the gens too, so this isn't entirely unworkable for them.
Going into the next injury with Looney, trying now to get the survivors down sooner than ever. We have the 3v1 scenario as well, so the generator pressure will decrease once we're having this survivor on the hook, as one person needs to go for the unhook and the third survivor is going into the upcoming chase, potentially allowing it for the killer to shut down the survivors all the way to 0 in terms of the gens. Leonidas showing aggressive scouting of the Reckless Yard, trying to catch more survivors. No one over here yet though. Expecting someone to be in the pallet, but that was a wrong call. Pop goes to Weasel coming out on the shack, creating a major setback for this survivor team. Back and forth, anticipating that someone would come in for the shack generator, and that is indeed the case. Very nice idea there. And Looney is injured, would be an easier chase, but we also need to keep an eye here on the corner generator. So if the survivor team is now splitting in a smart way, constantly going into pressure on the shack and in this corner here, they might be able to get at least the 4th generator. Never mind.
Oh well, happens to the best of us, right? We are going to be seeing... We are going to be seeing Leonidas trying to find something here. Going to be continuing to follow the scratch marks right now. Is Looney, but running into the edge of the map, and Leonidas doesn't really care about getting that survivor down by the looks of things. He's just going to be focusing on the gens. That is the priority. That is what you are looking at. That is where you want to be. To answer Burnttoe's question, in public matches, in terms of who has the lowest kill percentage, I will get back to you on that one shortly. In DBDL, it is actually the Doctor with a 25% 4K rate, only an average of 6.75, only an average of 6.75 hooks per game. In terms of, I know you asked for everything, I will get that to you in a minute when I actually have those stats, because right now I do not. Dante's is cosplaying a solid snake right now. That was some of the most ludicrous stuff that I have seen in quite a long time. My god.
Back to basement business now. Leonidas this time not expecting the rescuer already being down there. We might see a very quick turn in a moment. Dante's waiting though until the Spirit is away from the basement. Very smart move, because now the killer will not be able to go immediately into the tunnel out. We hear the steps. Nancy running away, trying to get into the safe zone on the Reckless Yard, far away from the generator. This gen is almost good to go, so if the survivors take a good reset now and then split up between shack and corner actor, I see no chance for the Spirit to defend one of these generators at least. Instead though, the Spirit now trying to force on Nancy. It's very important that she stood alive. Ada here taking risk as well. Actor, I vote for a reset on the survivor team.
Yeah, just reset right now, especially because Dante's is going to be pressured out here and briefly pursued, but Leonidas is actually going to be opting to pressure out the generators instead. So Dante's is going to be able to maybe get over to the very corner of the map. We are going to start seeing regression limits coming through on the generators, so the survivors can, in theory, outlast this one and wait through there. Dante's is going to get pressured out right now. Well, that's a hell of a meeting there, bud. And also to answer Burnttoe's, in terms of public games, it's actually Singularity right now with the lowest kill rate, sitting at about, we're looking at about 54%, so lowest kill rate in the game. Compare that to highest kill rate, which oddly enough is actually the Skull Merchant with 70%. The Chess Merchant, as we like to know, this down is going to be buying time for the central generator to be completed here. So you do actually have a pretty decent gen spread here as the survivors. The issue is now you have your friend on a hook, which is something that you've not had to deal with for a hot minute, right? So one of the survivors is going to have to rotate for this unhook, and the other survivor is going to have to do some absolute ludicrous level of juicing. And that is a good start.
That is indeed the start into serving the juice. We will not make it back towards the Shag, I'm afraid. Oh, we're actually going into the face. I felt like we could have gone for the injury right there, expecting the double vault on the Shag, taking the injury, and we are back onto this filler pallet here and being a little bit too risky now. We wanted to force the stun right there. Not the smartest decision, if you're asking me. It would be much better to just drop the pallet, take the safety, because right now it's all about time. Ada would need the time to save Dantes. Ada needs the time afterwards to go onto a generator. And if you just take 5 additional seconds from dropping this filler pallet early, well, then at least you gain some time. The stun would have not really made a difference there either, so taking the risk here was not really the play this time. Ada with the bigger patience and not allowing the quick down by Leonidas here. But that would be insane if we see the CJ, but unfortunately again we are not going further than this 4K1 on the survivor side. They're cursed.
4K1, you do say it's cursed, however, on Spirit, this is what I'm expecting. So the dead guard actually comes through there. It's going to buy a little bit of extra time for Luna here, but Dante is going to get bullied through after this one. This is the game, this is the 4K1. As we were saying before, this is slightly above average on the survivor side. Spirit is a very strong killer. 4K1 is a relatively expected condition, so honestly, the survivors, in terms of the macro, I'm actually relatively impressed with how they played. They played the macro of this one quite well. It's more the individual performances, right? Mansa did get tunneled out in a reasonably effective way, was taking the chase away from the generators, away from the rest of the team. Dante's actually going to be hitting a decisive strike there, so there's a potential for a pickup onto Asura here. Going to have to see exactly where they crawled, but no, you're locked up in this corner of the map. You can't really do anything if you're Dante's, unfortunately, here. But no, the macro was played really well from the survivors, but individual performances, Mansa's chases during the tunnel out simply didn't last long enough for the team to take that much advantage. You could see that, I believe it was Asura making some odd mistakes in the chases as well, so decent macro play from the survivors, but the individual performances could maybe use a little brushing out. Maybe they'll have to play some of the DBDL 1v1 ladder, which you can find in the DBDL Discord server, because I am a shameless promoter.
That is so good when you are doing it, because when we are doing it ourselves, promoting our ladder, it's almost always a little bit cringe. So it's good when you do it, then we are not in this difficult position.
Yeah, technically I'm still kind of freelance. Because DBD is not my main game, but I always joke about this with my friends, because DBD is not my main game, casting-wise. It is Overwatch, but because the DBD esports scene is so much relatively smaller, but the game is still so popular, I get, like, by far the largest viewership and audiences and, like, eyes on me for DBD. So I just joke about with friends all the time that I am selling my soul to Behavior Interactive for more views.
And Actor is also really well paid in DBDL. We recently raised his payment by 10%.
Yeah, that's true. So 10% to what? 10% to what?
That's not what we are talking about.
Yeah,
we're not talking about 10% on what. We're only talking about 10% more.
Okay, I see what you mean. Savannah is exposing you in chat as we speak. That's what it's all about. But yeah, solid performance coming out from both these sides. 4K1 is expected. I do feel like a tie is very possible here. There are only so many ways to slice it. The survivors, I genuinely think they could have gotten every generator completed. It is just a case of playing against more Spirit, you know? This is actually an interesting discussion, which I believe it was with Rats a few weeks ago that I was having about how you actually compare skill in Dead by Daylight, right? Because obviously most games, they will have the competitive ladder, and you simply hop on the competitive ladder, right? Now, obviously DBDL has something similar in the 1v1 ladder, but recalling that 1v1 isn't the exact intended way to play the game, right? That's kind of just an arbitrary thing the community created, right? So instead people go for hours as a signal of skill, right? Which
is not untrue. It's you probably need a lot of hours to be good at the game, but because DBD isn't that mechanically intensive, you can get quite good at the game in not that many hours, right? And so then there comes the question of, if you want to claim to be a very good player, is it the play to just leave DBD running on your PC overnight for multiple nights and then just get the hours up? And then suddenly it's like, guys, I'm like a 5,000 hour survivor player. I'm insane, or something like that. It's kind of odd. Cindy asked, do you think that they nerfed Mei too hard in Overwatch 2? The Mei changes that came through, I actually have the patch notes here. I promised Dai I'm not going to talk about Overwatch for that long. I think that it's a change which is better for the higher level, because they increase secondary fire damage, so that changed a lot of breakpoints, especially with headshots. But it's a smaller projectile, so if you hit the shot, it's a lot more effective. If you can't, then there it is, right? But Daya, I'm not talking about Overwatch anymore. We're talking about Dead by Daylight. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt my family.
It's fine. You're already fired.
Oh, I understand. Like, I'll leave now then, and you'll take this solo.
Who's responsible for triggering the Overwatch topic? Let me see the cast, the chat. Lady Lyora. All right, the next person gone.
Actually, it wasn't Lady Lyora. It was
public.
I ain't a snitch. I ain't no snitch. Okay.
Public execution on DBDL stream.
Wow, that's crazy, isn't it? Christ. Well, that's not particularly nice, is it? But the game is better. A question that I had is a question that I had for chat, which I am literally making up on the spot because I didn't actually have a question prepared when I started that statement, but I'm thinking of one now. Is what is everyone's most entertaining killer to watch in a comp setting? That's probably my question. I already said earlier that for me, it is the unknown. For you said it's the plague. For differing reasons, you're kind of more on the strategy and like macro train. I like the excitement. I like the quick chases, the chaotic nature. Here's the thing. I really have a soft spot for Unknown's chase music, even though it is kind of dishwashery. But because of spectator bugs, you only actually see it from the survivor POV in custom matches, which is unfortunate. But yeah, so I'm asking chat, what is everyone's favorite kill to watch? Unknown snipes are sick. Yep. I like nurse matches, Billy. Yeah, all fine options. All fine options.
And I also think we are going into the next trial. Yeah, they're good to go. Second Spirit trial. Oh, Leo, welcome back. Seems like you were gone for a moment. It wasn't me applying the timeout, by the way. I'm just casting. It wasn't me. It was Savannah herself. It wasn't me.
Wow. Our league commissioner is becoming a megalomaniac. This is really sad. This is really upset. Oh no.
Leora, I always say to my students, life isn't fair. So happens. Aha, Cindy mentioning Overwatch. Goodbye.
I'm watching chat live and I just see message deleted.
Time to clean the community.
Oh no, Wancy, you're not late. Apparently, we're just getting started. Dyer is going kind of mad with power right now, but no, this is exactly halfway through. This is our second set. Dragon's Grip. Oh, okay, Mansa, you cheeky little man. Okay, well, that's a play for sure. We're going to be seeing how much value it's going to get. You're running this in favor of an extra regression slot. Oftentimes in that last slot, you're going to have a Ruin or an Eruption even. So Dragon's Grip, you're really kind of going all in on the lethality here, right?
And the first, again, taking risk on going for the stun right there. Hyzux, unfortunately, getting injured way too soon. into the trial. Does get away though by a millimeter. Very lucky there. And important because we want to stay alive as long as we can. Win condition is tough. 4k1 once more. Pretty normal for the survivors here. And that's going to be the down right here. Yeah, 25% or 20% on that first generator. 50% on another one. So the survivor team certainly not sleeping. Looking good so far. Ace is also ready to go for the unhook pretty soon, so it looks like an organized trial coming in from the survivor team. We'll have to see that. Mansa though, after taking the first hook stage and applying the dragon's grip with the pop goes the weasel, staying in between generator and hook. Very nice to see that. Trying to defend both objectives at the same time, the survivor and the generator, which will cause a slowdown on the survivor side. So I would say so far from the killer, really strong.
I would have to agree. Getting this down so early now, your hook is in the very edge of the map. This is the only silver line which you can get from the survivors. You aren't really pressuring a whole lot else as the Spirit right now, but that also makes the save a bit more difficult to get. You know, you have to pass through this region of territory, and Mansa is not just going to let that one happen for free, right? The Dragon's Grip is just such an interesting choice. Reminder for anyone who doesn't know, this means that when you kick it means that whenever you kick a generator for 30 seconds, if a survivor touches that gen, then they will reveal their location and become exposed, right? The issue is that this will become known to the survivors quite quickly, right? Once this is, you can either A, just have your injured survivors work the gens that have been kicked, and it's not really that much problem, or B, just stealth for, like, I don't know, an extra 30 seconds or so, which is also not particularly tricky to do. It's inherently, it is just an unreliable perk, and that's the issue with it. However, if it gets value, then I don't know, I'll just be eating my hat, right? Only Heizu getting off the hook, he's going to be dropping Shat Power, and actually a For the People play coming through, so Mansa's going to want to think twice about this tunnel out. For the People is so strong in terms of preventing that tunnel out, and now Mansa's going to be forced to swap priorities over to counter raid right now. Yes, it's going to be a quick down and a quick hook stage, but that doesn't really matter if you're not getting the kill, right? And who even guaranteed it was going to be that quick? His counter does have this palette to work with. Not the best palette in the game. Evidence right there. But still, that's an extra good bit of time that has been bought. So, For the People really coming in clutch there.
80% over here as well, so we will see another generator being completed as well, leaving us with 2 more gens for the win. And so far we don't even have an elimination, so we have all our survivor resources onto the objectives here. And we're going towards the fun bus, trying to remove the survivor as quick as we can from the trial pallet being dropped early, not taking any risk, and that's going to be a lot of distance that Mansa has to face here. So survivor is able to get away. I think that was a life right there, taking the distance away all the way back towards Shack, or at least this filler pallet. Mind game not going to be successful. The survivor team now really shining. Eunoia playing strong, showing us what they got, an injury onto Sponge. That is okay, because Sponge doesn't have too many hook stages just yet. Important is that Heizux is not going onto the hook, and I think Mansa lost track of that survivor as well. So we are staying 4 survivors. Potentially we are even able to go for the full reset, meaning that 4 survivors will spread across the gens in a second, but I think I cast a cursed our ace. No, I actually didn't. Okay, everything is fine, everything is chill. 4 survivors able to put pressure into the gens. I honestly, if no catastrophe happens, Actor, they should win this.
They absolutely should, and out the corner of your ears there, you might have heard a scream. Dragon's Grip is now known to the survivors, so that perk is now essentially going to become a non-factor, right? Heizux is eventually going to be falling. There's a lot of progress which has been obtained on the generator in the meantime. So finally you get your first kill here, but that 4 people earlier really took it out of him, right? Counter raid has to be very careful right now, but he's not anywhere near to the Spirit, so is in some good safety anyway, and is happy to continue working on this generator. as well. Abdul and Sponge are injured up. Could be worth seeing when they want to go for a reset, but they're not going to have the capacity to. The Sponge is being forced into this corner right now. There are essentially no resources. We have this pallet here, which isn't great, but being juiced through anyway. Sponge, okay, big lad. And actually, Mansa is forced to turn, look away over to this generator on the other side as well. This means that Abdul is free to work on a gen over in the distance in this meantime. This is some pretty good play. Sponge going to be going down in the corner, maximizing your time on the ground and on maximizing your time not being pressed out as much as possible. Right, the further you can drag the killer away from your teammates, the better.
And there's generator number 4, and this is very important now because the tie condition is reached at least. So even if things are falling apart, you are basically safe. You could even try go for 4K1 and then take an unexpected last second out with the hatch or an exit gate. But as we said, they should be able to get this final generator done even with this elimination now. They do have a lot of distance to the active generators, wasting time from the Spirit going for the down. Sponge here doing a good job, and we have 80% on the Adam. They are going for the slug, so Adam is leaving super early, not even risking the injury. I do like to see that.
Well,
now
Adam's exposed. Adam's exposed with Dragon's Grip, so has to play that safe, right?
I didn't hear him scream, never mind then. So, yeah, then it's even more understandable that he's leaving early, and we'll have to see this awareness for the potential danger. 50% of the exposed is now expired. Hiding in this truck here is potentially a good idea. Survivors need to drag the Spirit away from their generator again because it's so close to completion. If they find the reset as well, they can take hits and they can take injuries without being immediately punished. So Actor, again, they should get it, right? Right? We will finally see it out, right?
Maybe. Who would have thought in Dead by Daylight the game about escaping the killer? Someone might just escape the killer. That's crazy, guys. I had no idea that could even possibly happen in this lobby. But the reset isn't actually going to be completed here onto Sponge. Now, Sponge does have an extra hook stage to be working with, and okay, fair play to Manta. Has a better pair of ears than I do. Yeah, getting that one there. Abdul's still hiding, and Counter Raid surely is trying to rotate back over to the generator. Surely the survivors don't beef this, right? Surely the survivors can get one more generator done. Like, no one's really at risk of death. You have 2 healthy survivors. You're able to safely reset Sponge on the hook here because Adam is taken. Adam has, I believe it's, I don't recall if it's life or balanced landing, but does also have an exhaustion to work with to make some distance there. And I believe actually tried to use the life there, but got intercepted for it. That could be a bit of a big deal.
And once again, they're trying 60% now. We are in the com corner. Will the com corner save the day? That's the big question, but we are going again for the slug. Will we pick the right gen and will we make it in time? Upter on the way for the win here, for that 5th generator. Will he be able to do that? The answer is yes. We're going into the end game. Good job, Survivor team of Eunoia, taking the win with that 5th generator. And I would even hope that Ace is able to escape here. Nice vault, and then going around the pallet, giving Ace enough time to potentially go out of the exit doors.
Yeah, the great escape there is what we want to be seeing. Counter Raid is kind of dead in the corner map. Sponge going to be bullied up as well. Again, this is... Here's the question, because this is the scrim, right? So Abdul has to make the judgment call of whether... Okay, it's actually going to pick up Counter Raid. You don't get progression on the... The issue is you don't get progression on the exit gates for this, and Counter Raid is still injured and isn't going to be fine. That being said, Sponge is going to have the Unbreakable. Isn't using it yet, though. Has just kind of 99'd it, is ready to pop up back on their feet whenever they may choose to right now. Counter Raid, the one injured up, is going to be found. Abdul could leave right now if they wanted to, right? But it doesn't seem like that is the play, or unless it is actually the play and I'm just a silly Billy. Sponge still has this unbreakable and still isn't willing to use it yet. I wonder exactly what Sponge is waiting for right now.
Yeah, we would,
Huh?
for the stats, we want an out, right? And
What?
this is what we finally got.
Unbreakable is, just to be clear, just to like, chat, I'm not going crazy. Unbreakable is still up. Like, I don't believe that was ever used this game, right? And it just sort of wasn't here. I mean, a win is a win either way, so you do take that. I'm just sort of questioning why Sponge didn't use that unbreakable. Yeah, maybe you would have gone down relatively quickly, but when Counter was on the killer's shoulder, that would have been a perfect opportunity to get up and at least try and then beeline for the opened exit gate. Ace could have rotated towards you to body block so you could take a hit and then you could get your 2 outs. Really interesting. Okay, Unbreakable. Apparently Unbreakable was already used from what we're saying in chat.
I told you.
Unbreakable was used. Did you?
I told you. I don't know how you overlooked that. No, I didn't.
I was gonna say, are you gaslighting me, Dyer? Are you gaslighting me? That's not very nice, is it? No, gaslighting isn't real. Anyway, I believe so. That's the Spirit now done. We're getting on to our 4th set. We are trying to run this one through as quickly as possible. All teams are trying to get things nice and fast. Going to be Wraith next. That's going to be on the Dead Dog Saloon. And again, Wraith, oddly enough, considering that they are a lower tier killer. Considering that the Wraith is a lower tier killer, does have the officially highest kill rate in DBDLeague. So, you can pop off in that regard, actually. I'm actually quite interested in terms of Wraith kill rates. In public matches, Wraith actually has the 10th highest kill rate out of all 36 killers. That sounds interesting, but again, looking at exactly kill rates for how strong a killer is always a little off, right? For instance, Nurse has the 4th lowest kill rate in the game, but I don't think anyone is saying that Nurse is a weak killer, right? But in terms of DBDL, in terms of our stats, it's always nice to use them just to compare for average's sake, right? So we are expecting a Wraith 4K here. If the Survivors are able to get any outs, then they have already massively exceeded expectations. If not, Survivors can look to complete about 4 generators for a okay performance. If they complete 3 generators, that's more on the lower end of average. Anything less than that, and we're going to need to have some words.
Break time.
Break time. Hello everyone, welcome back to set 4 of our community scrim night. It's going to be Dante's from the Sacred Side, opening it up here today on the Dead Dog Saloon. Already going to be doing some renovations, going with the traditional add-on combination for the Wraith. You have the faster uncloak plus that 60% break. Having a pocket triple brutal strength is always going to be pretty helpful, right? And seems like right now there is the corrupt split, but Survivors aren't actually going deeper into the map. They're opting to out-stealth the corrupt instead, which is, well, partially out-stealth the corrupt. Hydro is going to be found out here. First hit does come through, but that is a quick injury. Dante's going to probably struggle to get it down here, and now all Survivors are moving. Dante's is just looking at so many players right now, and can do whatever they want to all of them. Abdul, a little bit indecisive there with exactly where they wanted to move, and does get caught out. Runs to the corner of the map, runs into a sandbag as well. Call that sandbagging if you would. Dante's just going to continue this chase right now. Is going to be coming to his pallet. He's going to get the speed boost. Tries to fake out the pallet drop. Gets it that time. This is a pretty good Wraith start.
Yeah, so far looking quite nice. If only we would have a generator on the Survivor side as well, then we could say it looks good for both sides. Unfortunately, it will only be the start for the killer. That is looking really, really promising. Wraith here definitely showing us that he doesn't want to lose any time in terms of attacking that survivor team. Abdel is leaving the hook, getting a potential reset immediately, as we are seeing Sponge now in the next chase around this filler pallet. Does hold W though, getting a little bit of safety. Very nice play here, not taking an injury, dropping the SAC pallet for safety.
Oh.
And that only works when the Wraith is cloaked to kick the pallet. That was a very unnecessary injury right there.
So I'm not entirely. I don't recall the interaction perfectly, to be honest. As that is going to be a pallet dumped on the Wraith's head. It's going to force that big stun, force the decloak as well, and a slow pallet break. But that is when the Wraith's invisible. You can just spam vault the. You can spam vault that to delay them a little bit, kind of force them to move. However, it seemed like Sponge tried to almost time it so that you would start that vaulting when the cloak happened, but that's just odd from the Wraith's perspective, because now Survivor's just kind of walked into your face. It's like, okay, well, a little bit of lack of execution here. The side of the map seems very sparse for Dead Dog, and that is going to be the main building generator completed first, which is bit of an interesting one right now. So you do have this main building to use in chase if you really want to. But again, right now these fighters just need to keep calling out, where is the Wraith? Where is that fella? They're bumping into each other with times. Looks like Counter and Sponge are going to be going for a quick reset. In the meantime, Haizuk takes a chase and Abdul continues to pressure out. I believe it's the Gallows generator.
We are seeing a little bit of back and forth on this relatively weak pallet right here. Will we be able to go for a longer chase? I feel like we need it. We need to go for a reset on our recently rescued survivor. We also want to make sure that we split onto the generators again. So it would be nice if Wraith is being run for a little bit longer. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. We do see Eruption kicking in and another stack of the Scorch Hook Pain Resonance coming in as well, potentially. So doing quite some damage here on the survivor side and onto the generators. Claudette already coming in, moving towards the hook, trying to guarantee a quick unhook, bringing the fourth survivor back into play here. Wraith is scouting the Gallows area, usually a very welcome area for the killers to work around. Immediate rescue happening, so Actor, maybe now we see a longer chase, right? Right?
Yeah, hopefully. Haizuk is going over the corner of the map. You do have Sponge here, who is willing to take that hit. Obviously, that's good to delay the kill onto Haizuk for a bit longer, but remember that every single injury you get through is Sloppy Butcher. 4 seconds doesn't sound like a lot, but when you stack injury on top of injury on top of injury, you are looking at incredibly long periods of time which you have to deal with. So very hit and run playstyle is coming out. Abdul actually going to be dropping the pallet there even after taking the injury, so likely kind of preempted that drop and it didn't exactly work. The early drop here does come through, which is you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't against Wraith with this add-on, right? You know, what are you supposed to do about that insta pallet break, right? You kind of need to, for you to get value, you kind of need to get a stun and then make some distance off of it. And you're actually going to be getting said stun over here, now look, you're just zoned into the very corner. These pallets just get shredded through like an absolute machine right now. But Abdul is doing a phenomenal job going down in the corner, buying time to chase. Does use basically every pallet on that side map, maybe 1 or 2 left remaining, but it does allow the rest of the survivors to continue to split on these generators, get some decent progress, though maybe not as much as you'd want for a chase that lasted that long a time.
We're trying to go for the next injury and we will be successful doing so. Sponge now injured as well, and still 4 generators. Actor, I start to become a little bit worried. The survivors also getting hooked next to the generators that have quite some progress, so the killer will be able to guard the hook stages and the generator progress as well. And whenever the killer is able to chain both together, it's definitely a very dominant position that you are in. Counter rate, the healthy Adam here not moving towards the generator just yet. Potentially they are meeting up for a reset. Never mind, the Wraith straight onto him. So the rest of the team will use that time and go for the heal here. Very difficult pallet. Unfortunately, Counter Raid will not be able to prolong the injury, but he is able to go all the way back towards the main building, and the Wraith is immediately leaving that, expecting that the other survivors would go for the full reset, trying to prevent that. Now, Abdel is definitely fully healed. Counter-Strike would need to meet up with one survivor, and there's our Claudette, unfortunately running into the Wraith, making it easily to go for an M1 here. A nice window fake, though, to prevent that injury from happening. Now we are juicing a little bit. Sponge now taking the injury as a punishment, but Actor, we need some gens!
Generator challenge! It's a gen-based game! You need to do the gens, guys! I don't know, they've been opting for the reset. These chases haven't been bad from the survivors, but they're just clearly not great. And the Haizu there, it seemed, was in an odd situation. Tried to path for the fast vault, but didn't execute it in time, whereas a medium vault there could have gotten you through the window, to be honest. So, it's quite strange there. Counter Raid is going to get found out now. Still trying to work with what you have here in this corner of the map, but now that's two survivors being crashed out at the same time. It's a no-brainer for Dantes to go over to the injured one. Still has a pallet up here for Haizu. Showing some confidence right now. Going down in the pallet, but now Counter Raid's been pressured out, and you think maybe you could have gotten the drop there, maybe could have gotten a stun maybe distance, but a pallet that unsafe, honestly, it has more value when it's up than when it's down, right?
I feel like they are putting difficult priorities at the moment. For example, attempting the pallet save there in the corner was not the priority to have at the moment when you are having 3 generators to go at the moment, and potentially now a hooked survivor and a slug. You would really like to see all your survivors on the gens, making sure that the necessary pressure is coming through. One survivor is now going for the full unhook here. The survivor on the gallows area has to leave the gen, and once again we are having the hook right next to the gallows generator, which they are repairing for the 267th time now. This generator must have been completed 8 times by now, and still it is regressing because they are constantly allowing the Wraith to unfortunately take the downs right there. And it is then a very nice decision from Dantes to not force too much onto the hooked survivor in the behind the main building, not going into a tunnel out when you realize in a different position the hooked survivor is awarding much more to myself, and I can take a look onto the survivor and onto the gen at the same time. So I feel like our killer is making great decisions here. Our survivor team, I'm not too sure if their priorities are right.
That is a very nice hit to come through, though. So team play, even if it's a little late, even if it's a little slow, it's clearly there, all right? Survivors are trying to make a bit of a recovery in the late game right now. It feels like this Wraith is doing quite well, and they're putting survivors into awkward spots, and the survivors simply don't have an answer for it. It's going to be another eruption coming through, but here's the thing. Again, this is another killer who is playing almost too nice right now, right? Like, you're looking at the hook stages. You have 6 hook stages and 0 kills to show for it, right? You now have 3 survivors that are dead on hook. And even with all of this, only 2 generators have been completed. All survivors have been alive for going on, what, 10, 15 minutes now? And you have 2 generators completed to show for it. These survivors, again, I think, as you said earlier, their priorities are not in the right place right now.
Now we are back on the gallows generator that is getting kicked one more time. This is
the
so
gallows
sad
generator.
to see.
Me when gallows
so
generator. Oh my god.
It is so sad to see how this gen is going into regression and regression and regression. I really think, I think if they put the pressure that they have on this gallows gen into the other generators where they are not dying next to, they would be out.
They're resetting. They're taking the time to reset again. This does make some fundamental sense against a Wraith. That is kind of the play. But is Sponge the one who needs to be healed?
right? Yeah, Sponge has a good 3 minutes of hang time. Hasn't been like touched by the kill this game. The Gallows Gen is still now being progressed and is going to get pressured out again. There are other please, Eunoia survivors. There are other generators in the game. It's not just the Gallows Gen. Abdul's going to get injured up in the corner here. Dante's is going to be returning back to the Gallows Gen. I'm sorry. I don't get it. I don't get the obsession with this Gallows generator. I do not understand. It's still, you aren't breaking any kind of massive like 3 or 4 gen if you do get rid of that. Dyer, I'm losing my mind. I need a hug.
Yes, the hug coming in. Yeah, I mean, this is what we described as setting the priorities correctly, right? One priority that was not really in place was going for pallet saves and altruistic gameplay while being in need of getting generators out of the way. And the second unfortunate set of priorities was going for that Gallows generator over and over again. I mean, going for the Gallows generator is even fine, don't get me wrong. The problem is just when you're constantly dying next to it and lead basically the survivor in chase towards the survivor working on a generator, then it's becoming a problem. If they would have constantly been dead on the windmill or at the houses section, somewhere in there, then working on the Gallows generator would have been a very easy task to achieve. Unfortunately, counter rate going down now as well. We can only hope that they are getting 2 more generators out of the way here, going all the way into the 4K1, because that is something that a strong Wraith can counter. Maybe not with a raid, but in general, we need some action on the gens now.
Yeah, to answer Zwocky's question in the chat, these aren't the perfect perks simply because in competitive Dead by Daylight there's a lot of balancing, right? So a lot of perks, especially on the survivor side, or perk combinations are going to be banned, right? So I believe an example of that is like, I want to say Iron Will and what's the else? It's eluded me, but things like, I think it's Iron Will Lucky Break, combinations such as that, which are banned, and I was actually going to be playing the palette pretty well here, finally, but no, these are not perfect perks in the slightest. If you, I feel like if you want a guide, I feel like just looking at, I'm going to sound like a bit of a sheep here, but I believe Ops has made a couple of videos about beginner survive perks, which is quite good, so do check that one out if you're trying to get acclimated with the game. Any perk when you're starting out the game, anything that just gives you information is generally a good thing, right? Kindred is quite good when you're a beginner. Windows of Opportunity going to be good as a beginner. Deja Vu even. All things that allow you to learn things such as the generator locations, the tile spawns, the tile structures, etc., etc. And then as you carry on a bit and you don't quite need as much information, you can instead focus on, you know, things like Prove Thyself to do gens faster, Resilience that can have a similar effect and help you in chase, maybe Decisive Strike or Off the Record to stop yourself from being timed out of the game, things like that, to be honest, right? We do finally see the kill coming through onto counter raid. I am baffled at the lack of gens that are being done, and they are resetting again, but they kind of have to because everyone is basically dead on hook now. Not Sponge, and Dante's is actually going for the most fair game of comp DVD that I have ever seen in my life. If the survivors are not able to complete at least another generator, then I am going to be so baffled right now, because this is another hook stage that's coming through, which isn't a kill. And the survivors are being forced to split up on starting like new generators.
How are they starting gens now, Actor?
I don't know
want to sound.
They're starting generators now.
I don't want to sound too negative, but how are they just starting 2 gens from 0? What has happened in this time we were in this corner? Where's the action? Where's the pressure that is applied on the killer? And you are right. Dantes is not playing this in a punishing way. Dantes is not going onto the survivor team and saying, I'm slugging.
Dantes is playing solo queue.
Yeah.
Dantes is just playing Dantes is playing like pubs right now. Bro's just chilling, putting his feet up, having a good time. The survivors are scrambling for something. This is just... This is something that's... There will have to be tape done on this game. Again, we can be polite. We can be polite to the players here. Of course, they are here to compete. They are trying their best. But in terms of competing at the highest level, it's fair to reasonably critique the play right now and say that these survivors right now aren't exactly playing up to that level. That being said, again, they can learn from this. So, you know, we all make mistakes. Just please don't keep working on the Gallows gen for 20 minutes, okay? And then maybe we'll be okay.
And set the priorities. Correct, that's the feedback, I think. I mean, you're right. Like, it sounds harsh, of course, when you are coming out on the DBDL stage, which deserves a lot of respect, and you are showcasing your team in front of 500 people at the moment, and you're saying we are a team that wants to get stronger in comp DBD, and you are having basically 522 people, one actor and one wolf, criticizing you. It is rough, and it deserves a lot of respect, but as you say, there is the chance to improve, but improvement only happens when we are giving reasonable and honest feedback, and I think it is safe to say that the survivor team has not put the correct responsibilities and the correct tasks. Going for pallet saves while gens were being needed, repairing gens after a lot of downtime and with a lot of delay, and Dantes really not putting a lot of pressure there, not even going for the slug, not trying to force the 4K by all costs, and yet we are only seeing 2 generators. That definitely requires a little bit of different planning at the next time we're playing against the Wraith on the Dead Dog Saloon. Dantes now slugging, which is understandable though. On Dead Dog Saloon, you can have difficult exit gates, and you really want to prevent these survivors from leaving out of the door here.
My question with that diet is, why are you a wolf?
Why I'm a wolf?
Why are you a wolf? Because you're a dire wolf, right? So, like, what led you to become a wolf?
A dire wolf is an ancient figure. It's a very spooky wolf that is coming out of the shadows, basically, but still has the values of fighting for the right and for the justice, as at least in some legends about dire wolves this was told. And I really needed a game attack when I was going into comp DBD. Before that, I had characters from TV shows and, yeah, of course, Ray is coming when it's about my username. Fucking stalker. Anyway.
Anyway. Friendly stream, bro. Oi, oi, oi.
So, yeah, I needed a good game attack. And before that, it was all about series characters and stuff like that. And then I was like, what nice story legend exists. And I always loved wolves because of loyalty, because of achieving something together, watching each other. And I thought, like, these are values that I kind of want to give to people, like feeling protected, feeling like you're in a group. So I went with wolf, but wolf was too easy, so I went into legends, and then I came to direwolf. Story over.
I mean, I don't feel particularly protected right now. I feel like you're going to hurt me at any given opportunity. That's actually... Fun fact, this is actually how Dire handles... Sorry?
This is the question after. You first.
No, the thing is, this is actually how, and I think every caster can attest to this, Dire selects the casters by finding casters they can, these guys are cool, like, I think they could do good stuff at DBD, and then taking our families hostage and threatening them with severe harm if we do not cast for DBDL, which is why I've been on almost every community night this stream, because for every community stream I do, my family gets fed for another week. I missed last week's, and they didn't drink water for 2 days, so yeah, it's kind of a problem.
That's why we are not having a caster problem. But about your About your name. What's the ruiner in there? Where's that coming from?
That was an in-joke on a Minecraft server when I was 12, because I ruined... But by the way, guys, I'm not 12 anymore. I feel like I should confirm that. Yeah, no, Egdar's a weird one even, because my name isn't even because it's Egdar with like a G. My real name isn't even Edgar, it's Ben. So people are like, well, why are you called Egdar? I was making a Lego Universe account when I was 8, and I literally don't have logic for it. I was like, Dad, help me think of a name, and it was like, Egdar, why not? The Ruiner came as part of an in-joke, and then it started from there. I'm slowly trying to rebrand away from the Ruiner part and just have it be Egdar. But that's a struggle because it's been in the Overwatch servers that I cast for. That's kind of like my name has stuck, you know, because like a lot of players get like, it's all in good faith, but they do get bullied for their games. We had a player called Finn, but his original name was Finn Fun J. And bro got like bullied for that into the stratosphere to the point where they were forced to change their name to just Finn, right? So, I could have chosen a cooler username. My profile name on Steam is Menkisser, which would not be allowed in DBDL. And I also don't think that would like roll off the tongue well as a caster name. So, you know, live and learn.
I mean, partly also the community decides how you're actually called. Like, for example, the wolf in my tag is pretty much only decoration by now. Like, everywhere you are hearing about me or people are addressing me, or it's always Dire. Like, I could take the wolf off and no one would notice a difference, basically. Nothing would happen. Of course, it would look a little bit weird maybe from the username, but maybe even by now it would be enough to just go with Dire, but basically the wolf is just gone. No one is, and it's understandable though, because 2 syllables like Dire Wolf to always add that, it does definitely, or it is not the most efficient way. So I'm super, because every time I read about you, people also only say actor. No one is taking the time to type it out or to say it. So,
full name and legal title.
So I think rebranding could happen, but yeah, if you're listed everywhere like this, then it's rough.
Here's the thing: I have the stream up on my phone, like on my desk, so that I can keep update with the chat. Dude, I'm gonna be real. This picture does wonders for me. I don't know like what I was on that day, but like this picture is a very inaccurate representation of me. But it's like it's the perfect angle. It's just clean like that, isn't it? So there we are. Obviously, you're looking fresh as hell in your picture. So there we are.
Dire is my first name and Wolf is my last name. That's actually true.
Yeah, that is true. At Easter, it is Egdar. Who's on the DBDLeague chat?
Me!
Why are you talking?
Me!
Why are you flaming me on the... You could just speak. Just speak to it. Like Savannah isn't allowed to speak for some reason, apparently. So like that makes sense. But you're just right here and you're just typing it out instead of.
I'm multitasking my bad jokes.
I just don't want to talk to.
Terracon says, wait, Egdar, can I call you Edgar or sit to Egdar? Egdar is the name, but Edgar isn't like, it's not the biggest deal. If you say Edgar, people get it confused. I've been doing for our university tournaments, for like all of the UK university scene. We've been doing streams every Monday, and they've just misspelt my Twitter every time because they think it's Edgar the Ruiner instead of Egdar again and again. So there we are. Yeah. This is what we're saying. Like, Dire is multi-talented. Is casting and typing in chat and organizing the teams as well, and also being really handsome all at the same time. Like, I think we should just give this man a round of applause, to be honest, for doing it.
Now I'm blushing.
Oh, we should.
I can't handle that. I will break in tears.
It is also quite odd the fact that we are heavily flirting so much, considering I believe your fiance is in the channel. It is fiance, right?
It is fiance. Yeah.
Yeah, fiance. Yeah, it's just in the server right now, just hearing us flirt relentlessly.
Yeah, but I think
Happens.
she's shipping us.
Real? Oh, that's so cute. What would the ship
Yeah.
name be? Would it be like Egg Wolf? That's terrible. Not that. No.
Actor
Jesus
the
Christ.
Wolfer.
That doesn't sound legal. That doesn't sound right. I don't like this anymore. I don't want to think about us being shipped. I want to think about the next Wraith set maybe, because I mean, look, 4K3 is a very beatable condition. I don't think that's up for debate, right? For survivors, it's a rough start. There's also I have a genuine question because it's something that I haven't gotten to. So obviously you have certain gens which are easier to complete. So for instance, the main building generator, right? You're going to have vision on the killer. Wraith isn't going to be able to easily test you. Like you will notice them coming, right? They have to get all the way up to stairs. So it's an easier gen to complete. Surely that warrants kind of leaving it for a bit later in the game where, say, you only have 3 survivors left and you can apply good pressure. And if the killer wants to pressure out that gen, they have to take such a detour, right? Because you have no reason to be on that top side of the main building to go all the way upstairs and all the way around the corner if you're not pressuring out that gen. And that might be another small mistake we saw from the survivors last time. They just did that gen instantly, right?
Yeah, and I hope they are going for this generator and then at the same time dragging the chase and therefore the killer away from exactly this generator that they are doing for themselves. Because you will only profit from a chase if the killer is wasting the time in the chase onto carrying that survivor towards a hook. That's why you often see the comp corner. And then traveling cross map to defend the generator. And this is something especially against the M1 or low mobility killers such as Plague, such as Wraith, such as Demogorgon. Now, okay, he can teleport. That's already a little bit harder. But on those killers like Plague, Wraith, Evan, this is the biggest resource that you have, time and wasting time. And the further you run away from the generator that is currently pressured, the better you will do in terms of getting effectiveness into the gens.
Hello, Mr. Bartender.
Yeah, Lix in a very, very nice spot here serving us something, a drink on the Dead Dog Saloon. Win condition seems to be easy. I want to even use the word easy because 3 generators on the Dead Dog Saloon are allowing you to ignore a 3-gen setup, allow you to ignore a 4-gen setup. You are vibing, Actor.
This is a very aggressive chase build from Blitz right now. Not only do you have the fast power bait, but you've also opted for the bamboozle instead of any other slowdown. So you have the firecracker actually going to be coming out, and that buys time for them to get across the corner as well. So yeah, it's an aggressive chase build. Yes, these vaults through the window are going to be very fast and also blocked up right now, but we're still seeing good play from this Yoichi, especially because this part can kind of be used either way. Everyone's kind of privy to the fact that you can hit over that little railing as well, so going to actually be avoiding that. Looney tries to connect it into... Yeah, tried to connect it into the window there, but unfortunately this was a little too bloodlusted up. So yeah, an earlier vault could have been the play there. This is going to be going over to another pallet now. Is actually being relatively conservative with the pallets over on this side. Has used a couple of them for sure, but they are all concentrated in one corner, and this is buying so much time for the other survivors. You know, if the other survivors are split on generators at this point, then there's a chance that they just kind of get the win condition instantly. I mean, at least 2 generators are going to pop here. Pain Res, yeah, so as I would pop theirs. Pain Res will come through onto 1 more, either Dante's or Mansa's, and the other one will complete their gen, and that's the tie condition already met in the blink of an eye.
That's crazy. That is so crazy how this Survivor team is playing, and you can tell the difference, right? A confident first chase, dying away from the active generators, not going for a pallet save just because it is fancy, but because Like, you could actually... What is happening, behavior? What was that? How in Jesus Christ, Moses, Petrus, Valhalla's name was that?
I feel like if you say Valhalla to some of like the comp DBD veterans, they might just have PTSD, right? It looks like our Wraith also has PTSD right now, considering Goofy. I don't know. I've seen this before, but it's just. It never stops being funny seeing like Goofy Wraith just kind of appear on the map carrying a survivor. Dude, if I'm trapped in the entity's realm and I suddenly get chased by like a torso-less monstrosity, I'm just like, dude, I'm just gonna give up. I'm just gonna accept my fate, alright? Discard me. I have no more motion to give you. Send me to the void. I don't recall DBD lore all that well. But still, nice stun going to come out there from Mansa. Delay a little bit longer. Tie condition has already been reached right now, and every survivor's alive. It's only a matter of time before this last generator pops. I'm interested to see whether this is going to be a full clear here, right? Because Mansa is going to be going down here, but that's only their first hook stage, so you don't have any kill pressure onto Looney. And that's the win. That's that top gen being completed. Congratulations. That's the win going over to the Sacred Survivors. This is Sacred Survivors right now. Dante's and Mansa. Yeah.
And
unless I have
what they should really do now is smashing through the gens very fast, taking the outs and asserting a little bit of dominance here on this final part, because we have Eunoia up being with a 2-0. So if Sacred is now taking the set point and asserting dominance, getting confidence for themselves, they might be able to take the final set of the day as well, which is going to be the Billy. And Billy needs a lot of confidence since you're under so much pressure. The killer immediately on you, first chase potentially not taking too long. And then you can make it 2-2 and you can leave this community night with a nice tie. You have not been defeated, even though we're not really looking for a winner here, but it's still making you feel very good and would be a nice comeback for them as well. So playing this as a very strong trial from now on will do a lot of benefit for them.
Yeah, and that's actually a very nice stun that's going... Sorry, what?
Minecraft, he collected +5 wood on the tile.
Daya, have you heard of this brand new technology called doxing?
And you're gonna unravel it on me, just like Cole.
Yeah, just like Cole as well. Yeah, not only am I actually Rick's fully uncloaking there, so it's going to give time for Mansa to make some big distance. But yeah, this mid-gen is just going to be hard-bodied out, zero respect for the killer right now. Yeah, this kind of has to be a little bit of a mental burden for the Eunoia side, right? And it would be great for Sacred if they can just have this dominance like fully asserted here. As you say, esports is often as mental as it is physical and gameplay. I'm sorry, I still can't get over this, right? I'm trying to keep it composed. I'm trying to...
This is so scary, actually.
Flying onto like the half-headed Wraith. Like, no.
Why are people talking about new cosmetics for Wraith, guys? This is the new cosmetic.
Yeah, exactly.
This is sell this as a DLC for $12.99. People will buy it.
Dude, as like a way to fund comp, any punch of this cosmetic, because spectator bug goes to like DBDL prize pools in the future.
But I'm very proud of Sacred Survivor Team, though. They are down by a 2-0, and they certainly had difficult trials here. And now they are doing an absolute fantastic job. They even get another pallet back into the trial. I don't know, Loney should make the way out of here because he's injured and the Wraith could pop up any second. But instead we are playing a little bit IKEA worker and readjusting the pallets on the map. Now we are going out of the door here, though. Looney, just escape, please. Looney, just escape, please.
You can do it. You can do it. Come on. There we go.
Okay, good. Final set ahead of us, the Billy on the Blood Lodge, and we will see you right after a short break because little Looney will get a reminder. Trial 9, welcome in. The Billy is racing into the bin, and all that we can see is Loney against the tree. Da-da-da-da. The gens are fine, the gens are here. Let's repair them so fast, oh yeah. And Billy's over here, let's try to get the down quickly. That's it. Audition is over.
Please take your medication, please. I'm gonna need something stronger than meds after this. Jesus Christ, I might need a trip back down to Plymouth again. My goodness. Anyway, sorry that you had to hear that, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, Dante's has no Mither. This makes sense against a Billy to a degree. Billy is a strong slugging killer. Bring the no Mither so that you can actually live through Dub Troll. Getting people out there is going to force the regular pallet break. Dub Troll hasn't actually gotten an overdrive yet. He's just trying to get the downs at these. He's trying to get the downs at these regular tiles, man. So more than happy to pre-drop for a little bit. Do have the overdrive coming out now. Lightning speed comes through. Tries to get onto that window, but Manta, a little tougher than the wherewithal for that. And also going to be double vaulting that one is Manta as well, avoiding a hit quite well again. Ruin is good, but it's not going to be worth a damn thing if you aren't actually actively pressuring against, which you are going to be doing. Find Dante's in the corner at the Z-wall, strongest time in the game. It's actually going to utilize life to get some distance here. Dante does go down, but you lose 2 generators for it, and 2 gens for 1 down, especially on the Billy, that's just not... That's not great, to be honest. That is not a great start. There's a lot that this killer is going to need to do to get back in this game. You're going to need some fast chases, some good macro, and honestly, even a little bit of luck.
Yeah, I absolutely agree here, especially when we are looking into other performances in Season 9. Usually our killers are able to get the first down together with the first generator. Usually that's a good trade for the Survivor team, getting 1 for 1, and now we are having 2 for just 1. The Hex Ruin is still standing, so we can use the mobility, pressuring the Survivors away from the active generators. Very nice blind coming out mid. Chainsaw sprint right there. Now going back though, we have to make a decision which Survivor we want to chase, and it seems like we're just sticking to Dante's here. Removing the no Mither Survivor early from the trial is a very good move though. We have seen last weekend in Season 9 Calamity came with no Mither on Laser, and Laser was removed immediately, and after that the killer was able to go for a slug and ultimately go for the 4K as well. So it is a very nice strategy to achieve. Dub though a little bit struggling here, and it's even more unfortunate because Dub is known for his Billy, so the fact that he's getting ran for quite some time and only getting the 2nd stage for the 4th gen is worrying.
And this isn't even your 2nd hook onto 1 target. Again, Dante's is fine. Dante's is chilling. Manta's one going down and has a lot of hang time. If you want to be technical here, you can just kind of ignore Manta for a while. Dub Trouble simply doesn't have the capability to just camp this one out, right? So you can get your unhook essentially for free. You still have plenty of resources on this map to work with. You still have your pallet here. You still have Shack to deal with, which is going to connect into another wall. This helps just a little bit. Spicy sizzling one from Dub Trouble. We'll see whether that's really able to turn tides of the game. Things are not in Billy's favor right now, but that certainly helps.
Now this was an unexpected snipe, and unexpected snipes like this can bring chaos into the Survivor team, because the other Survivors did not have enough time yet to go for their new position or achieving the reset that was planned. So something like this can definitely mess with the Survivor team. We'll see if Dub is able to get more benefit out of this unexpected snipe. We are having the rescue in the distance, so all 4 survivors back into the game, and this is actually a long chase that is coming out right here. Actor, I'm not even entirely sure about this bamboozle. Blood Lodge is usually not a map with a lot of windows. We have the main building, we have a couple of T&L walls, but besides that, with your mobility, with your very oppressive power, with the curving, do you feel like the bamboozle is necessary? For me, it doesn't really fit in there.
What we've noticed is Sunfield's actually up to run crowd control instead in that last block. And they run that not only because it still kind of has the same effect of bamboozle in terms of the window blocking, which is also going to be helpful on a map where there aren't tons of windows. Zora gets caught out again here. Even on a map where there are tons of windows, it's always going to help, right? But when you're also running the Pentimento combination, it gives you something extra. Another totem that needs to be cleansed, which means another chance to prop that Pentimento, which can lead to some more slowdown, right? Billy 4K's at a just above 50% rate, looking at about a 55%. In terms of the perks that they end up picking, it can actually vary quite a bit. Corrupt isn't actually the most picked by far. It is Ruin Undying, that combination. Thanatophobia is often on there, which slightly confuses me. Because of the fact it's an instant killer, but part of the logic there might be because you're an instant killer, survivors aren't necessarily going to heal as much against you, right? And therefore you can get thanatophobia value there.
Game definitely slowed down a lot on the survivor side. The final generator is really not coming out, even though we have all 4 survivors still in the trial. We see another reset being taken here and there. Yuchi is able to go a little bit around, but then straight into the arms of the killer here. Luckily for the survivor team, this is one of the survivors that has 2 minutes of hang time, so we are not going to face too much of a pressure there. Monster is now getting away from the generator as the other 2 have teamed up on a gen and got it done. Now is the question though, will Dub be able to go for an endgame speedrun? 6 stages, really not what you're looking for on the Billy side. Yuchi now also being saved, so we are not even looking towards this 8-stage result that would be possible. Actor, we definitely need a little bit more here to make it a good result.
Yeah, definitely something's got to give right now. You are going to have Looney found in the corner. So... Well, so I think that was a set win that came through there. That's hit life for a while. And actually, get hit by it? What? Just get, like, was actually just giving the Hillbilly Chainsaw a bit of a smooch there. And it's a dangerous game. You want a heal tech here to keep Dante moving, but, you know, the Chainsaw can be brought out. Survivors don't seem willing to take hits. They are trying to get their outs. Dante's, I believe, was already dead on hook anyway, so that's only going to be a 7th hook stage coming through, and I mean, that isn't a spectacular Billy performance. To be blunt, that's not a spectacular Billy performance. Again, I love my stats, what can I say? But in this case, it is actually quite pertinent. Yeah, the 4K rate's 55.56, so that's not great, but on average, you're getting 9.5 hook stages a game, right? So, you know, 9 stages a game, basically. Here we got 7, so definitely well below the mark there as well. It's not been a spectacular day at the office for the Billy. Let's just put it like that.
Especially because there was too much risk in the end game, right? If we would have camped that fresh survivor, we would have had at least 8 stages, and now you're leaving the trial with less stages that would be possible with the camp. That always feels very bad. We will take one last break, ladies and gentlemen, setting up the final trial. Sacred here, definitely with the chance to make it a 2-2 tie, which would be very nice. Until the next trial, we will take a short break. We'll see you in a moment, guys.
Hello, everyone.
We didn't discuss who's taking the intro.
Oh no, we did not. We
Okay,
didn't. But I kind of assumed it was my intro. I'm stealing your thunder right now, Dyer. Hope you don't mind. But here we have it. It's gonna be Manta coming out. 4K, very achievable on the Hillbilly, which would be ideal. If not, you can get more than 8 hook stages. Sorry, more than 7 hook stages, so 8 hook stages. At least you'll be fine as well. You certainly can start with that. However, it's an issue when you instantaneously hit a tree instead of the pallet with your power. You're going to be trying to zone Fats into the corner here. And what do you have to say about Fats as a player?
Yeah, Fats as a player. I don't know where the level is sinking today. This is why we have community nights during the week to hang out with the community. And on weekends we have our serious tournaments. It feels like we really need to get stuff off our shoulders. About Fats, unfortunately going down very early at the beginning here, but Fats is an amazing player, a very dedicated player as well. We played for a long time together in the same community. Originally he came in when Rats and me were offering coaching to people and how to get into comp DBD. Unfortunately, we are no longer doing that, but originally he came in through that, then he took a lot of responsibility, and now Fats is telling others how to get into comp DBD and helps newer teams with good strategies and much more. So Fats, a very dedicated, very amazing individual. We know each other for 3 years and share a little bit of the same way and the same path together. Always great to see him back in our events, especially, I feel like. Unfortunately, going down here on the SAC pallet, Dub is making it away, though. We see the volt from the Billy with Bamboozle. All of that is going a little bit faster. Actum Sacred was putting up a good performance on the survivor side. They put a good performance up on the killer side, too. Eunoia is struggling.
Yeah, they really are here right now. We have 2 survivors down. One's going to have to make this chase last quite a while. And already Manta just coming back here, realizing that it's likely that if you're chasing Sponge, then maybe Besk would come back. And you could... Besk would come back, you can kind of catch them trying to pick up Fats, but Fats is going to go right back into the basement instead. And now we have the rest of the fighters kind of scrambling, showing what to do. They are able to get the pick up onto Dub, and you can tentatively start working on this middle generator as well, but there's no 2 ways to slice this, as Five's in a really rough spot right now. 2 injuries, Fats on second stage, they have 1 generator to show for it. They don't have particularly good progress onto other generators either. This is definitely going to be a struggle for them today, and they're actually... That's coming all the way back. Seeing whether the survivors are willing to just kind of let Fats die here, they know that they're behind in gen progress. It might be the case that, yeah, they're not going to say Fats. Dyer, would you like a few seconds to cry loudly about that?
I know that he's dying for the team, that he's dying as a hero, and we will...
You're a Dyer hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
It does hurt a little bit though, but sometimes that is needed. We can only hope that the survivor team will be able to be quick on the gens from now on, that the next down is not taking, is not coming out too quick on the survivor side. You really want a mid-game chase now that is taking a little bit of time from the killer. Unfortunately, it looks like we have an injured survivor here. Bamboozle coming in as well, cutting down the window. Survivor can only hold W. We did make surprisingly a lot of distance here. We have the second generator being completed, but this chase here needs to go on for
longer than that. That's an issue here. I don't know how it happened, but in the stream itself, Pepe Cries came out in like the stream that we're watching through. I don't know how that works, but that was a good bit, so fair play. Finally, Undying is going to be gone. You are able to get some pretty good generator progress. You're able to complete 4 gens. There are 2 remaining, 4 survivors right now, but this is a rough position. Dub is injured, can't safely get this unhook. It doesn't even matter against a Billy. Like, you just can't safely get an unhook, right? He's going to be grabbing it now and likely just going to be hounded down. Besk is playing a dangerous game. You can body block for a while. Eventually has to leave, but he's with a sprint burst as well. So actually a pretty good body block that does come through here. Credit where credit is due. Fives are trying their best to make a recovery, and Besk does have this bus to play around as well. Mansa wants to continue to work this one. So you get on the correct side of this. Yeah, okay, it's over. It's a deceptively not that great palette. Like, it looks like, for all intents and purposes, it looks kind of like God palette, but it really isn't, you know?
And it's unfortunate that Besk also only has 60 seconds away from the elimination. And so going once again cross map, trying to go for the other generators here. Don't see a survivor just yet. This is a chance for the survivor team. They might be able to sneak all the way in. Going for the unhook for free. The answer is no to that possibility though, because Mansa already being back here onto the hook, giving Sponge an M1 as well. Now every survivor is injured, which is really dangerous as the Billy can potentially just go for a snowball, and he's beautifully blocking the window there. What a nice play. Besk will be eliminated, will leave the trial, so we're having 2 survivors left, and we are slowly but steady reaching the win condition. We have 6 stages now. Sponge and Dub Trouble not being hooked just yet, but once you're getting the next survivor, you can technically camp that into the full win condition and the elimination.
Yeah, certainly can have right now. I'd be impressed if Survivor's able to get, considering the start that happened in this game, it's actually not that bad as Survivor's got 4 generators done. A lot of matchups, this would be a decent tie condition, but unfortunately this is a bit too much of a burden to bear right now. Mansa can just go on a crazy little world tour with the chainsaw right now, running round and round in circles we go. Fun's actually getting healed up though. So there's a reset coming through from the survivors. Could be in any corner of the map right now. Mansa doesn't really know which one, so he's just going to kind of go to all of them. Right. It's going to hit the M1 onto Sponge, actually through the life as well. And he's going to be able to catch up with the chainsaw pretty quick as well, but he does go slightly wide. He's eventually going to be then going for the slug. To answer the question of Paya, not sure if I'm saying it right, but to answer Paya, chat, is this esport covered? Yeah, this is esport covered. So, yeah. Succinctly asked and succinctly answered, so.
And Sable, unfortunately, being pushed away now. Just so little progress until we have the completion of that generator. Ruin, though, will do quite a lot of damage. We're starting a new generator as an alternative here, but we would need an insane chase coming out by Dub here, trying to curve him around. Not going to work just yet, so Dub has a little bit of more chase time going on for him and the survivor team. Sponge 1v1 is responsible for getting that final generator out of the way as quick as possible, and we are still running. So Dub showing his great experience as a Billy on his survivor gameplay here as well. But
know your enemy, right?
Anticipating that Sponge is working on the generator, so you are trying to go as quick as possible towards that generator, forcing the survivor off. And that's going to be the quick M1 onto the Claudette here. And that means when we take this stage, there would be the win condition. It does seem, though, we are not taking the win condition just so. Instead, we're going for the real 4K, even with the generator standing.
The real 4K, the gentleman's agreement right now is Mansa agreeing with themselves, I guess, to just get the 4K anyway. For the aura points, I suppose right now, this is all but lost here for the survivors. Yeah, they're just going to be going down right here, falling quite quickly. And so yeah, that's going to be with this hook and with the one as well, that's going to be Apologies, I got the teams confused right now. Who's killing right now on the Mansa side? I believe this is Eunoia killing?
No, Sacred.
Sacred killing. Okay, so Sacred killing here.
2-2, actually.
Yeah, our first set was tied up, and we've gone 2 for 2 since then. So, well played. Both these teams relatively even, so to speak. Though I do feel like Sacred definitely picked up in the latter half today. But again, this is a scrim. So in terms of keeping score, it's certainly less... It's less stringent in that regard. Teams have a lot to practice on, a lot of tape to go through. At least they hopefully have fun. Because that's what it's all about, right, Daya? Having fun.
Absolutely, and a big shout out to both teams, Sacred and Eunoia, for stepping up on the DBDL stage. Certainly takes a lot to showcase your team in front of so many people and getting the critique. We tried to point out a few things where there is the potential for an improvement. Would be nice to see the teams coming back in the future. Now though, we have one last thing to get out of the way. Everyone open your ears, I prepared some. In the fog-filled trial where shadows creep, where killers hunt and survivors leap, we find ourselves in a deadly game, Hector and I amidst the flame. The entity's grip tightens around as we move in silence without a sound. Generators around us with electric spark, in the eerie twilight, gold and stark. Hector, with his keen eye and steady hand, navigates through the haunted land. Together we seek to mend and heal. With every heartbeat, our fate is sealed. Yeah, you can tell I'm a literature teacher. Hector, what do you think?
This is a family-friendly stream, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then anything that I would have wanted to say, I cannot say legally. So
okay, then we better say goodbye and we handle this offline. Cindy, if you write an essay in German, I can certainly help you. So we appreciate you, everyone. Shout out again to the players and the teams and wonderful audience. These community nights in the midweek are a lot of fun. It's nice to interact a little bit more. It's nice to meet you all much more and have some chats together and some conversation. It's much different from the series tournaments we have on the weekend. We sometimes think, is it fine that we are going for such community nights with chatting since we are an organization? But at the other hand, we think DBDL is built from the community. It is built by volunteers. We are not like a pro league in Counter-Strike that is directly sponsored by the developers or anything like that. So since we are built from the community, by the community, for the community in all these ways, and we also rely on everyone's love and support much more, we feel like it is great to interact more. So you have an idea who is the team of DBDL even, and we are certainly having a lot of fun. So thank you a lot for coming around once more and for all your support. If you want to, we're doing the same thing tomorrow, 6 p.m. Central European Time, just like today.